Welcome back to Memes and Markets. Happy to have you here with us. Keith, how are you, man?
Today's the best day of my life, Ben. How are you?
Today's freaking awesome. We have Jeff Booth back with us. Jeff, how are you?
Really great, thanks. I was just watching your intro there, and it said "Stay Curious" underneath which I love. I sign every one of my books with "Stay Curious" on it. So just
awesome.
Love your intro.
Amazing.
Cool.
Yeah, that's what we try to preach on the show all the time, and I think that you definitely ooze that in all the content that you share. And I think a lot of problems can be solved by just staying curious about things. So that's amazing. Keith, where should we start?
Yo, I was also just gonna say, Jeff, you make people have to decide whether or not they're gonna stay curious.
That's a great point.
I mean, there's tons. I mean, we had some stuff come up about like strategy and Michael Saylor and what it is that they're accomplishing come up quite a bit over the past, I guess, couple of weeks. There's tons of stuff throughout that ecosystem. You've told us that you've been able to speak to him and whatnot. So could you, for someone who's never heard of strategy or MicroStrategy, talk a little bit about what it is exactly that he's doing and maybe a little bit of why?
Yeah, and I can't tell you exactly what he's doing and why and everything else, but I would say this is Michael Saylor is a friend. We met when he first came into Bitcoin, and started looking at my work and understanding this and understanding how Bitcoin played. He tells his story, kind of the what it looked like to build a company that was being devalued against dollars and fighting to try to outrun that, and why he found Bitcoin in the first place. I think he's brilliant in this space. His version of Bitcoin today is the best asset in the world, and digital credit that builds on top of the best asset in the world. And that version that, by the way, I'm an investor in MicroStrategy in my RSP, so I have nothing against it, but I also disagree with that version of Bitcoin in the long run and what that looks like. I understand why that would be attractive to people, because what they're doing is, actually, you mind if I back up for a second? Because everything that I start with and why I start with it is the natural state of the free market is deflation. And why I start with that first principle is when you nod your heads and you know that's true, subconsciously you know that's true, even if you can't explain why, it means all of your existing pattern recognition, your entire model of reality, is based on something that is untrue. Prices just go up, right? Why do prices go up? Why should they go up? If the natural state of the free market is deflation, it means you've never lived in one. You have no idea. So if I inserted a new model that said, I can give you money, I can give you interest rate on top of a model that you believed prices go up, you would trade your Bitcoin for that and take the interest rate. Of course you would. But where does the interest rate come from? It comes from increasing money supply over time. But it would match your model of reality, right? And it could come from breaking down the existing system, right? So for a while, but at some point, those systems have to resolve themselves, right? They have to. If the natural state of the free market is deflation, then one system has to kill the other system. They cannot coexist forever. And if you go back in time, what happened in banking crises before, right? What was the emergence of this central bank in the first place? was banks would give out more interest rate and they would have less reserves of your gold to give out more interest rates. And us as users would always take the highest interest rate. And so it created a brace to give out higher and higher interest rates, and we would take more risk with our money. And then from the more risk with our money, when we went back and it created these bubbles, we went back to try to get our money, and it wasn't there because the bank didn't have it. The banks would fail, and they would turn to government to save, and people would turn to government to save themselves from the thing they created, and we would get central banks out of that. Right? That's what, if you think about human nature of what we're going to go through, and why all human nature is going to go through this reality, right? If you have this new protocol that's decentralized and secure, and you can run a node and be part of the protocol, how many people will keep their part of the protocol versus trading it for an interest rate? And so I can both understand why it's an incredible business that he's going to create, credible, and there is going to be a time where this is going to run away, and it might. But if it looked like digital credit forever on top of a monetary asset that didn't change, then that monetary asset, like gold, would have to centralize. And then, like gold, it would change, because we've never had something that we could keep it decentralized and secure. Does that make sense?
It does.
So I can both understand the why this is such an innovation Michael Saylor has created, and a whole bunch of people are going to make a whole bunch of money on it, and the stock and everything else. And I can also understand the long-term implications of us on it. Right?
Makes sense.
Of what that looks like.
Why can't they coexist, these two systems? Because it seems like they're trying to create the reality in which that does happen, right? Where the push for stable coins, and they're trying to, I see it all the time being talked about, okay, you'll spend in stable coins and you'll save in Bitcoin, alluding to the fact that both systems will continue to exist. Why can't that be a reality?
The natural state of the free market is deflation. Keep saying it over and over and over again. You've never lived in it. So if you've never lived in it and somebody gave you a stable coin, where does the stability come from? It comes from matching to the US dollar, which is essentially a guaranteed loss coin against Bitcoin. Its stability comes from guaranteeing your losses.
Makes sense.
Right.
Yeah, that does make sense. And so with the central banking,
by the way, go back to that. Every single thing that you've ever seen as far as an act, stable coins, Inflation Reduction Act, Patriot Act,
yeah,
they're named the opposite of what they should be named.
They always do that. Here in Canada too, it's the same sort of deal. So on that front though, I've been thinking about it a lot since we had this conversation. And one thing that I was wondering was, why does it have to be Bitcoin for this reality to come true? Like, could it not happen with some other similar type of asset?
So let's go through the similar type of assets. So pick an asset that would be similar.
Not similar, but let's say Cardano, because it was built on similar principles.
So because of proof of work and how it's decentralized and secure. So do you know anything about the Bitcoin trilemma, or is it a blockchain trilemma?
Of course. So
you have to choose decentralization, security, or scalability on layer one. Bitcoin chose decentralization and security. So intentionally, it wasn't scalable on layer one. That's what keeps it decentralized and secure. Small blocks, right? Nodes that protect as proof of work that chases low cost energy all around the world. And it's more decentralized now than it was before. And I'm not saying in units, but it's constantly more and more decentralized. I can run a node myself. Like the block size wars of 2017 was actually about that. The small nodes said, if we do big blocks, then to run all the blocks, the compute required will explode, making the nodes cost too much for the average person to run. So there was a fight that split the network, that the small nodes, the small guys won, right? And what that showed you, what it shows you today is you, by running a node, are part of the network. You're not, it's not something abstract from you, you are it. And all rules have to go through. So any rule, any change has to go through me. So if you said, okay, is it quantum resistant, or what is all of your risks, China's going to kill it, or US is going to kill it, or compromise it, I can run a node in privacy. Now, I'm a public figure, so people know I run a node or a couple nodes, but I can run a node in privacy all around the world and watch, and every 10 minutes as my node audits the entire thing. And somebody to change this has to go through me and all of these other nodes. And so when you see the attacks and all of the core versus knots and everything else, that is this thing resolving in a consensus mechanism about a whole bunch of different ideas for what Bitcoin is. That makes sense?
Yes.
And there's so much control. Remember, we've never lived in a free market, right? So all of our ideas are from a centralized market, and we would be easily confused by what this decentralized security, we would go to those experts, right? How many experts, right, tell you that inflation is required for a productive economy?
Almost everyone.
Right. And so we would go to the experts because they know better than us, and we wouldn't take our own agency. So what keeps Bitcoin decentralized and secure is that, right? And it was the first one, proof of work. You have to use energy to do this. You have to invest in energy and compute. And then the nodes keep you honest, so you can't cheat. And then that miner that is invested in energy at, call it 10 cents a kilowatt hour, on the next halving cycle gets liquidated because they're mining at a loss. So it's constantly chasing lower cost energy around the world and distributing around the world. It can't centralize because it's the free market, and the nodes are keeping them honest. Makes sense?
That makes total sense.
Okay, so now let's say you've done this, and it's 17 years of the same thing, and it's expanding and expanding and expanding, and I want to launch a new coin. And remember, Vitalik tried to change Bitcoin, right? But the node said no, right? It's frustrating. I can't do more things on top of Bitcoin, so I'm going to build a new world computer. That was Ethereum. He is the one that described the Bitcoin, the blockchain trilemma first. I used it in an article to show how he was wrong. So that article is called "Finding Signal in a Noisy World," and it's on my jeffreybooth.com.
I'll link it down below.
Yeah, and I showed what would happen if you did. So there's kind of three different alternatives. I take the open source code of Bitcoin and I cut it over and I create a new Bitcoin tomorrow. That new Bitcoin has less decentralization, less security because it doesn't have any mining, and the exact same utility of Bitcoin. Who would use it? Right? Only gamblers. Right? So you would, because it doesn't have the same decentralization or security because it came later. So the longest chain becomes the most important. Take a different vector. I create a coin that lacks security, but I have decentralization and scalability. It's always hacked. Backdoors everywhere. I need a huge security team that's constantly building to be able to hack. I pay for the security team out of the same money that I'm creating, right, from people using my coin. And they're all insiders to this thing that think, could that work long term? Impossible, right? So it doesn't build a foundation we can build on top. Now let's use the other example, which you use Solana, Ethereum, and everything else. I sacrifice decentralization for, so I centralize, it's secure. I centralize, it's secure and it's scalable. But why wouldn't you just use a database? I have a high cost database that's centralized. Does it make any sense? And you can see this through the actions why it's centralized. And people say, well, decentralization is a specter, right, in the spectrum, and it's kind of decentralized. It's not, because if you lose your coins on there, they change the rules. and they back up. So you know there's a foundation, central control. Now ask this question, a different question. If we've never had decentralized security, if we've never had that, and we've never had a base that allows the free market to work, what are the chances of some other centralized coin actually working? Like zero.
Probably not good.
Right? Zero, because we would corrupt it. And if it got big enough,
True.
governments would corrupt it, and they would take it. So of course it would look like that. And so so it's not a coin, it's a protocol. It's a decentralized secure protocol at its base. Just like TCP/IP is a decentralized communication protocol at its base. And what ends up happening on a protocol is, because that neutral protocol is so strong and it can withstand everything, new things get built on top, extending the protocol to do more things. So the scalability comes in Lightning and Liquid and Arc and Spark. The privacy comes in Fediment, Cashew, and BitChat, and a whole bunch of things. And the and identity comes in Nostr, and it's all built on top. And that new, essentially that new internet that's being built beside the existing internet is in development. And you can own a part of the new internet.
That's a great concept. That's powerful. So if this happens, Jeff, another thing I wrestled with a lot is like, what does this do to like the definition of a nation state? Because a lot of that is backed by these systems that we're referring to. So like, what does that become?
All of these definitions that you believe, that you give your power to by using the same money that is being stolen from you, right? Sit with that, right? I'm yelling at the state. Will I use their money?
Yeah, it's pretty stupid,
right? Just allow that to resolve, try to resolve that, and I believe there's some sort of hero that's going to save me within that system, from the system that steals from me, and I know that's true. Now sit with that, and then realize I can move my agency to this new thing. I can be a node in this new thing. I can remove all of my economic energy from this other system and spend in this new system. And you can see where this goes. You can see where this goes. Now, if it was just in one area, or if I was the only one doing it, you'd be killed tomorrow. But as the whole world starts moving onto this neutral protocol, it doesn't care if the US does it or not. Could care less. It could care less whether a village does it. And I've been to these villages or these emergent areas all over the world. It's wild to see the abundance and the change in their lives coming from this new protocol that's emerging, that they're a part of the new protocol. It doesn't care about the Clarity Act. It could care less.
So one of the comments that we just got from Cross Central says, I still don't understand how he doesn't see the use cases with tokenization, real world assets, stable coins, perpetuals, faster and cheaper payments, and NFTs that Bitcoin can't do.
So it's so interesting. What are those things inside of? So you have somebody that is, so that question came from somebody, prices always go up.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
They're tools to extend the broken system.
Exactly. So if prices always go up and people can't afford the whole house, how do I tokenize it to get millions of more dollars so I can spread it around and create more money inside the same broken system? Bitcoin is rewriting that system. It doesn't care, right? It doesn't care. Like, people are going to do that, right? Tons of people are going to do that, but they're going to be embedded into this other thing. And Bitcoin is like, why is your house worth what your house is? And really think through this, right?
I've thought through it a lot.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
Because the debt underlying your house in a credit-based system, the debt's already insolvent. Everybody knows the debt's insolvent.
Mm-hmm.
The debt is only solvent because you believe it's solvent, right? And you'll allow more money printing, which steals your time. and you believe in the value of your house, and you won't allow the house to fall to the real terms because every bank would fall and everything. So you'll vote for the person who will make your house go up the most. In other words, they value you the most, right? And that question just came from that person, right? That came from somebody living inside that system saying, look at all these utilities. BlackRock wants to tokenize everything. Of course they do, right? Like the very top of the financial architecture, which takes from you, wants to tokenize everything.
So one of the things that I've tried to have the thought exercise of throughout this whole thing, we've talked about this a little bit last time. What if the idea, what happens if the idea is build this, update the current system with the pieces of blockchain and distributed ledger technology that allows it to be more valuable, and potentially use that as a way to also reprice, in a sense, like imagine they print money to buy these assets, like for instance XRP, and then send the price of that thing up to some crazy level. Everyone's coordinating together to do that, and then now Bitcoin looks like it's been dwarfed, right, in fiat terms by that new system. Is what I just said completely impossible, crazy? And then also, what would happen as a reaction to that?
Yeah, I think we have to expect, like in this, so even in these conversations, right, why this is so complicated, why it feels so complicated, is because the measurement of what we're talking about is from the other system, right? And you're trying to resolve the paradox of a system that cannot be resolved from credit-based money to allow the free market to work. It has to be reset. So the question is, how do you reset it? That's what you're at. And everybody's right now dancing around what are you going to do? So you could create $1 trillion coin. You could take Bitcoin, you could take gold way up in value and reset the debt just with a piece of pen or a pen and say, now gold's this, right? A centralized control action that says, now we don't have any more debt. Did the debt go away? Or did we just make up a new rule that favored some people and took it away from others? You could do the same thing on Bitcoin. You could drive Bitcoin just like you did in oil in the 70s. We need to peg our dollar, because it's floating to nothing, to something else like energy. To do that, we have to get in cahoots with people who have energy, and we have to sell them weapons, and they have to buy our treasuries to be able to create the petrodollar system. And now, but the oil market wasn't big enough in the early 70s to do that. So you had to expand it. You had to drive oil prices up. So it was never a scarcity of oil. It was, I have to make oil prices big enough to absorb the debt. You could do the same thing on Bitcoin. That thing might happen on Bitcoin. It's probably going to happen on Bitcoin. And for all the people measuring in Bitcoin, price of Bitcoin going up, see, told you we're still in a stable system. But that system itself, credit-based money, still has to grow exponentially, which is the opposite of the free market. So it cannot be resolved from credit-based money.
I understand the concept. It's like, this is such a powerful force that you're thinking that just doesn't matter what comes at it. We've never had a tool like this that would allow this to grow.
And Ben, this is a really key part. And it was a key part in my learning too. And if you, sometimes I think the way I talk about it now, if I heard me talking about it now, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, before I was really this deep, I go, he's insane. Right? He's talking about a different system, but it'll never happen.
Yes. That's something that people say all the time.
Like, it'll never happen. He's delusional. It'll never happen. And I asked to that, why? Why will it not happen? Because why, like, do you have agency in the world that emerges? Yes or no? If you believe yes, if you believe no, then it's just everybody else controls you. Just live in whatever you want. If you believe yes, you can take action in this emergent property with everybody else who believes they have agency too.
Okay.
And decide for yourself. And once you realize you decide for yourself, nobody tells you what to do, right? You decide where you can put your time. You just sleep really well at night, and your world, everything gets easier because you're inside a new model that's emergent around the world.
If you really think through the thought exercise, and I spent like so much time doing this, every reason that someone would come to for why it can't happen, they only think that because, like what you say, they're thinking through the current system, right? So like, let's say you think, okay, like the law enforcement would come and stop me. It's like, well, how are they able to get the people to enforce the law enforcement? It's because of the money system that keeps the whole thing going, that then makes them do it, and it gives them the plausible deniability of being like, I was just doing my job. I didn't want to do this, but I had to do it, right? And that all starts to crumble when the system crumbles.
That's why it's such a hard thing to get for people that don't want to stay in the protection of their identity tied to the other system, because it shatters our identity within the other system. And we have to realize we either have control or we don't. We either have agency or we don't. And so all of those things. So if you realize that those threats are real, right? That governments are going to try to stop this, that they have to, because the power that controls the governments and who gets elected is controlled by big tech, the funding that gets who is elected. It's all kind of all the same club that you're not in, right? But this is a global distributed platform. This is a global distributed network, and it doesn't matter what we think in the U.S. or Canada or anything else, because globally it's being adopted like this, and more people are pulling themselves out of that agency, and then taking agency in it. And then what ends up happening is they see as well, okay, Bitcoin needs privacy, right? Because if it didn't have privacy, and against this threat that most people are measuring Bitcoin by the price go up, and so they're giving more and more strength to these centralized systems. If it didn't have privacy, then it would be a real risk. So what ends up happening, you have a swarm, like a global swarm of people trying different things on top of this layer to create privacy. And that global swarm doesn't look like it's happening right away, and other people get caught into different coins that they think are better than Bitcoin because they're centralized, but they're private, right? So they could never resolve the compare because they'd be centralized, but they're private. And then all of a sudden this thing emerges that solves both, right? That's what's happening. And it's why it's so hard to see if you're outside of that system, and so hard because those people are right. Bitcoin needs privacy. Those people are right. It needs scalability. They're wrong in the way that comes to market in a globally neutral protocol.
Could the other things that we've talked about, like other coins and other protocols within crypto, like could they play that role even in your future? No. Why is that?
Because they all require another token and then at the base a choice between that decentralization, security, and scalability on top of it. So there's one base that's bounded by energy, decentralized, and secure. That is one base, and the emergent things, they don't require other coins.
So why is the trilemma unsolvable?
It just there's a trade-off in a blockchain in the way that.
But is that forever? Because you're saying that like so many people would rush in and modernize Bitcoin to meet the demand and the need. Could that not happen other places?
So the trade-offs are on a blockchain. Those are the trade-offs. In that article, I go deep into why the trade-offs.
It's linked down below for everyone, by the way. Keith, looks like you had something.
And remember, that article was written in, I think, 2022. And you could go back and you could say, how accurately has it predicted what would come in the last 3 years? And so it was written before FTX. It was written before a whole bunch of this nonsense. And so you could measure, was it right, wrong, and everything else.
So the thing that comes to my mind is this idea that everything goes to zero versus Bitcoin that you've outlined before. And so now this might be my thinking in the inflationary system, so tell me if so, but in the inflationary system, you look at you have the dollar as your base money, and then you have things that fluctuate versus that. You have stocks, bonds, whatever. If you look at Bitcoin, two sides of this. Obviously, there's the rest of distributed ledger, all these different tokens and whatnot that I imagine in some way could fluctuate up and down versus Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But then also you invest into companies that help to build in the world of Bitcoin as well. When you are investing in those companies, as an example, are you doing that because it advances Bitcoin itself, or are you also taking the approach of, is there a way to also gain Bitcoin in a more effective and efficient way?
Both. Both. So I have told this on lots of podcasts and stuff, but there was a really big kind of aha moment. And while I was talking, I don't know if I said this on our podcast last time, when I'd written my book, talked about the natural state of the free market, understood Bitcoin, I'm asked to speak all over the world, books, bestseller, and the works. And I'm speaking all over the world. And I realized all my boards and everything else, and where I was making most of my money, was in the fiat system. And it was literally a wake-up call, that, and why I can say some of these things, and I don't judge anybody for what they want to do. It's free market, you do what you want to do as long as you don't harm other people. But I faced a crisis, a hypocritical crisis, that I was telling people what to do while my actions were different. The save in Bitcoin, spend in Bitcoin, do this and everything else, and all of where most of my money came from was the opposite system. And it was the holy shit, right? This is so hard to understand, and I'm leading this. I'm at the front edge of this, and I'm a hypocrite, the world's greatest hypocrite, right? Because I couldn't see how my own actions did the same thing. That was the start of Ego Death Capital. Because I had to move my time. I had to choose. I had to say, I'm going to keep telling myself a lie. Right? I'm going to make a lot of money because I'm going to take this money and buy more Bitcoin. But I'm going to make the thing worse that I say is going to get worse. And I'm going to be a part of that. Or I can move my time. So moving my time, you jump off a ledge. You have no idea if it's going to be successful. Right, I have to stop this. I'm going to create the Ego Death Capital. Our first fund was, I think, 27 million in capital, and at that time, Bitcoin. I knew our thesis was it was a protocol emerging, but it was so early in that protocol emerging. If you remember back what Lightning looked like at that time, tons of transactions failed. So people said Lightning can't scale, but we investigated deeply why this was going to emerge in the protocol, and then we invested in the companies that were creating the layers and the scalability on top of it. And so some of those companies now are profitable, growing very fast, and adding more Bitcoin to the balance sheet each month. So it's both. So my notional capital, my rate of return in Bitcoin, why would I kind of do anything if Bitcoin is going to be kind of a 40-45% IRR, that's the risk-free rate of return that I naturally think of. And I would never invest in anything where I didn't think I could exceed that rate of return by enabling the system and providing value to all of the people who don't know what this is going to look like. So you can imagine, I'm going to give you a different mental model to be able to look at that. So if you look at the internet starting from 1969, emerging in layers, and imagine you at that time in 1969, you could own a part of the internet, and you could own, instead of a company on top of the internet, you can own a part of the internet. And that would mean that you could own all companies and all productivity ever created on top of the internet if you owned a part. Now fast forward to the layers coming on top of the internet to 1989, right? HTTP by Tim Berners-Lee. Same model emerged through the internet. It was, and companies wanted to co-opt the internet. OSI wanted its own version of centralized control of the internet, but the neutral protocol drove global talent to build on the top of the neutral protocol. They didn't care about what the other people wanted to do and money wanted to do, because the neutral protocol was safer to build, and it expanded. Now take 1989, how many people actually really realized what the internet was going to be? No one, right? That's 20 years later. Now take 2000. 2000, I had a .com company at that time, and I remember watching the blow up of the .coms and Amazon falling from $126 to $3, and we were around at the same time, and we almost died. Right? It was so crazy, and everyone I knew said the internet's dead. But if you watch the underlying metrics, it was straight up to the right. More and more people using it all the time. It was the investment and everything else. So how many people held Amazon at $3? Right? Very, very few. And now go back to 1969. How many people are going to hold their piece of the internet, i.e. Bitcoin, today? Very, very few. They're going to trade it out into the other system, and that's what we're dealing with. Right? It's so remarkable that you can pull yourself out of this noise and actually measure something totally different, and not just measure it, be a part of it. But how many? The question is, how many people will?
And that's my question, Jeff, is what happens to the people who don't adapt to this new system?
So in Venezuela, people could have held Bitcoin through their hyperinflation. Most people didn't. People that did extraordinarily well. People and could get out of Venezuela because they could spend it, they could bribe people, they could have anything they wanted, and the people who didn't just got completely wiped out. In every country, you see the exact same thing. This is what's going to happen everywhere, and people are going to get wiped out over and over and over again. And some people are going to take the Bitcoin that they have and sell back into the other system, and it's going to keep on distributing over and over and over again, because they're going to measure the protocol in pieces of paper.
And so, but does the system distribute in that sense then, or does it centralize?
So that is a really good question. So what you could expect is, if it centralizes, then I'm wrong on everything, right? Then there could be a nouveau rich that owned Bitcoin, right? That is centralized, and they have the control, but it's just changing these people for these people, right? And it's and the world still operates the same way. But why do I expect that it won't happen? Because of the conversations like this. You can tomorrow, you can today. You probably don't right now, even though we had the conversation last time. But you can go spin up a node today. You can be part of this. And once you know that you are part of this, so I know tens of thousands of people, right, that their lives are changing, right, and they're part of this. And so when I'm interacting with something that might seem, when you have 8 billion people saying something else, it can feel really noisy, and they're learning about this. But once you know, and you just the same thing that happened to me. It's exactly the same thing that happened to me. I just like to pretend that I knew this a long time ago. I didn't. So to pretend that you guys could know this. But now what you're doing is taking this out to other people, and each of us will face a choice. And if you run a node and you hold Bitcoin in self-custody, and you decide to put your energy into this, then when this other system says you can't do this anymore, what are you going to do? You're going to keep doing it, right? And you're going to be joined by tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and then millions of other people that realize their voice matters, right? It's not what somebody else tells them to do. And so you could do that today, right after this podcast.
What does that look like? Because I know we say these words, node, self-custody, but even most people in crypto don't understand those terms, and then also how to act on that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When you say crypto, what like that word crypto blockchain, it's a psyop to attack Bitcoin, right? It's nonsense. The whole thing is nonsense, and I don't mean the people are nonsense. There's some really great people trying to resolve a problem that can't be resolved from that system. There's some really good people. If I created a business in crypto, that I would need more and more people to use my thing. I would want other people to build upon my thing. Even if it didn't work, I'd have to find my way out because I'd invested all my money and time and everything else. I had to sell to the next person before I could get out. This is very different. It's a decentralized and secure protocol. So when these words go together, all these things kind of say, I'm going to trust that person because they know better, right? They all come down to, right? Like, they have a really good scheme to be able to make this work. They have a good marketing play to be able to make this work. All of the things in all of this thing rely on somebody else knowing better than you. Bitcoin, that's why it's so harsh. Don't trust, verify. You don't have to trust anything I say. You can go through and verify for yourself in the open source code, and you can run a node. So you'd have to expect with this psyops attacking, right? You'd have to expect psyops everywhere trying to stop you from doing that.
So how do they learn how to actually do that, to run a node? Like, where do they acquire this information?
So BTC Sessions on YouTube has like 7, 8 years, 10 years of free content of on how to do this. So they could run a Start9. They could just buy a Start9 server. They could buy an umbrella device. They can create their own node. They can put together. My first one I put together myself because I just wanted to learn it. That's a little technical, but you can actually make it a lot easier. And there's here's a way to for your audience, you and everything else. Watch what people have said over a longer period of time, and ask if they've been right, and what their proof of work looks like, over and over and over again. Because when you look back at people, what they said, they keep on changing to sell you the new thing. There's in Bitcoin, nobody, like most people like Ben at Bitcoin Sessions, not paid to do this. He wanted to create content for free for people to be able to do this, and as a result, he has just an amazing YouTube channel of content that's free. Now, you could hire him too, and he does this. He spreads it around the world for free, and it's created massive leadership for him from being an honest actor for a long time. So look for people that have been honest actors for a long time, and you'll see, or if they've made a mistake, that they've admitted where they've made the mistake and then updated their information. Like you guys is a really great example, and your Stay Curious is, you brought me on because you're curious about this. A bunch of the people, not bad people or anything else, and you too, are like, we're largely crypto, right? And you're gaining curiosity and everything else, and it's starting to bounce into previously held beliefs, right? And one will be right, one will be wrong. You'll either update your information and move forward, or not.
Love that. Yeah, I've really thought a lot about the proof of work in a human application a lot since we last spoke about, like, that's a great rule to live by. So I definitely try to think about that all the time. And with the internet, you actually can go look, which is really, really cool. So you can go see, like, was this person saying similar things 8 years ago, or have they completely shifted up? And then what does that say, right? But when I've tried to have these conversations with people who disagree, they'll always go back to, like, the fact that we, like, need a central bank, or we need a central entity, otherwise anarchy would ensue.
So, but why? Or let's plausibly go through their saying and what they're actually saying. Okay, so ask the why. So you need a central bank, or a central bank is going to create an inflation rate out of money that's just made up into existence, right? And what is that? That's theft of your time to somebody else. Centralizing it steals from yours. So it's the opposite of what you're saying. You're saying anarchy is a bad thing, right? And you're saying freedom is a bad thing. But free markets are far more productive than central markets, because central markets require somebody to choose for you, and the free market has all choices in competition for you. So let's just, those two systems are opposites. We've never lived in the version we said. And so what's the person saying? They're saying, I believe that somebody needs to control me by taking my money without a vote. Right? I have no vote in it. There is no democracy, because the money that's being taken is you don't have a vote in how much money is being taken.
Never.
So why would the world in that version of reality look more like COVID crisis, Epstein, all of these things that keep on happening out of that central control, getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and that central control doing whatever they can to keep people locked into a belief system? Would it create wars in other places to try to make those people the enemy, to keep you locked in, so that you're like, all of the things based on theft would get worse and worse and worse, and your life inside that belt would get worse and worse and worse as you. So I don't get the question, because it's not deep enough. I don't know. I don't know the what, because really what you're saying is, I believe there has to be theft in money to have people coordinate, without asking what would happen with the theft in money and who would win, who would lose, right? And I think you said this on, I believe in the good in people. I've traveled to 85 countries. I've been everywhere, and I see what hope streams look like when you get out of the nonsense. Mm-hmm. And what I see is most of us are exactly the same. So we want the same things for our family, want the same things. So when you realize what it actually looks like versus the version of reality that you're being believed, that those bad people, it looks so different. And if you activate into those people now all have a choice. They can activate into something that is they can run a node. They can be part of a global solution for them, for everyone else, and they protect those people. And so when you're operating within a zero-sum game, giving your agency away, you don't know you have your agency.
I think most people don't think they have any agency, period. I think a lot of that has to do with the media systems that govern our perception. They're incredibly centralized and controlled. And so how would they not stop this from reaching the critical mass? Or why can't they stop it?
So did you read my bio on on Twitter? So on Twitter, I put an agent up on Twitter.
Yep.
That is the essentially my it's me yesterday. So it's all of my corpus of information that debates with people and everything else. And Twitter, I think, because they just shut it down. But if you read the reason I put it up, and so it was engaging with people on Twitter, and it was getting thousands and thousands of likes, and everybody was engaging on it. And it's so if you just go into does it say the but if you go into my website and say I talk about it being and go to articles, and that one, and this is exactly your point, right? The world, there's more and more agents. If I can do this with my own corpus of information, and it can act like me, and if you ask it questions on my website, it'll answer like me. completely like me. And so if I can do that with my own thing and people think it's me and they're engaging with it and they're yelling at it, what does that mean? What does that mean? And how many people are engaging? They're wasting their time in these centralized platforms that are extracting their time, and they think they matter. They think it matters. So what I did is I wrote this and I created this so I could explain what was happening and what I'm doing in the alternative reality. Essentially, I'm spending time on Nostr. I'm spending my time with people I love, doing things I love, and removing it from the centralized system. And I have a choice in doing that in my time. So I don't play the game that everybody else is playing, and everybody has a choice to do it. And once they see what that means, they start to make more of these choices. Most people don't even know what Nostr is.
And what is Nostr?
It's notes and other things over relays, but it's a protocol on top of Bitcoin. It's integrated with Bitcoin. So essentially, it's an identity platform. You don't have to say your name, that can't be shut down. So my voice cannot be shut down there. The Nostr isn't owned by anybody. It's not a company like Twitter that decides if my voice gets shut down. If I say something bad on YouTube that says I want to degrade this because if people know this, it's bad. It's bad for my company. Right? I want to control the information. What you just said, Nostr cannot be controlled. It can't be shut down. There is no central throat to choke on it. What happens is as you're engaging on it and building your community on it, all of the followers are always yours. If you choose one application of a client like Damus or Primal and you want to change to a different one, the followers aren't on the platform, they're on you, right? So you have them all the time, and then it's called zaps, but because it's linked into Bitcoin at its core, if you like somebody's content, you can just send them a little bit of money right away. I donate people the money I'm spending on Nostr today that will buy coffees today will buy cars tomorrow.
That's awesome.
Right.
So can the experience like that evolve to a point where it provides something like YouTube eventually?
Yes, all of these things. This is what's happening. You have a new protocol developing. How many people would have known YouTube could even exist in 1995? Right?
Maybe.
But think of what 1995 looked like. You had in the dial-up and everything else, and to imagine you streaming videos, the business model couldn't even exist until later. So this is what's happening. And because this is all protocol tech, it's all open source, and I take this piece, I take this piece, I take something else. I don't have to create any code, and I create an entirely new business as it's emerging. And so when you're inside the stream of that, what's happening there, you're seeing this. Wow, it's growing so fast. Whether Nostr itself, where the application, one of the negatives that happens in the first waves of technology, as these things end up happening, our minds are caught in, I need to copy the old thing that worked. Right. So Nostr could look like, for a lot of people, it's a new social network without as many people, right? And that's all it is. But it's so much more than that, because it's this new identity platform that can't be shut down, that then it ties into a different piece and a different piece and create something entirely new, similar to YouTube, Facebook, Google, Amazon, entirely new, that you couldn't even imagine until the technology stack was there to be able to, for you to imagine.
How do builders get involved with this world? Like Keith and I want to eventually build our own social platform, and it seems like this would align with the stuff that we want to build into it. How do you even begin that?
Well, so you don't need to, right? You don't need to build. So what you're saying, if you're no new social platform, then what you're saying is, I want to control the social platform, but you could just extend your voice onto something else that can't be shut down, and you could be additive into the thing that is winning for you and everyone else,
Totally.
So
But
you don't have to create anything.
So then how would a platform like YouTube then be created? Like, how would people interact with that?
Well, here's the thing. Imagine YouTube being controlled by no one.
Yeah, 100%. But how does that actually technically be built is what I'm asking.
It's already built.
And so how would people interact with that? Like, is it on a website? Like, how would you use it?
So if you go on to Primal or Damus right now and you create a Nostr account,
yeah,
you can start getting into all of the different technology. There's a really good greeter of a whole bunch of people called Derek. His name's Derek Ross. He's but he'll point you to a whole bunch of the emergent things to be able to create your own content on this, video content or other content that's completely outside of that other system.
So who runs Primal then?
So Primal or Damus, they're companies, right, on top of this, but they can't make money from, you have to choose to, and some might be free today, some might charge a yearly membership fee, everything else, but you have to choose to pay them and they can't control you whatsoever. And there's a whole bunch of the companies, but they're not built into, like today, you use Google and they can shut you off. You want to use one and then the other, or both together, or 5 of them together. You choose what. So those companies are in service for you instead of utilizing your data to monetize you without your knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Right. Totally different model. The users are you, everything else. So as you build more of a, I think about this even as a social media platform today. I have about 180,000 followers on Nostr. And the engagement there, and I get paid for putting comments up. Right. And so the voice is that engagement is way better than it was on Twitter, in the best part of Twitter. And I have 380,000 followers on Twitter.
One of the things that has come to my head, going back a little bit to some of the things we were talking about a bit ago, this idea of it potentially being human nature to some degree, that we've created some of these systems that are then designed to steal. My question is did the arising of the central banking system, the inflationary system, is that a human thing that occurred?
Yes. Did you see my speech at Bitcoin Vegas?
I did not.
Watch it and or link it to this if you don't, if you would. But if I tried to take it from I tried to say instead about Bitcoin, it's about us, right? Because you can, if I look at you two, right, and said each one of you has a model of reality. And that model of reality comes from all of the people you've met, books you've read, different things. Your parents had a model of reality. Your 4 grandparents, everything. And all of those people are kind of inside you and your thinking, including maybe me today, right? And these bounce into each other. And we all kind of observe this different thing, but it's all us at the center, right? Holding on to onto this, coming into the past doesn't actually exist. It only exists in our mind. This moment right now is the only moment that actually matters. It's the only moment that's real. And the future emerges from moments like this. And we come into these moments, your stay curious as an idea, right? We come into these moments so wanting to hold on to our identity from our past, we actually don't experience the moment, right? We don't actually truly experience the moment. And so that gives me truly a sense of awe and gratitude of all the people, the millions of people I could never thank in my life to created who I am today, which is different than the person I was yesterday, and different, and that evolved. And then we came together, and if I look through your past, Keith, or your past, bouncing us right now, where we can have a conversation in this moment that might impact other people. Kind of is crazy powerful.
Big time.
but you watch what people do. You watch what most people do. Is their past is so their childhood trauma, their whatever it is, their stories that they tell themselves are so real for them that they make it real and they block out anything else because they're still living in their past, or they're so wanting to run from their past into a different future they're not living in their moment. So these moments come in, we don't live them. But what if you could? What if you actually experienced what that look like, and you could accept all of the different ideas just neutrally into that Clariac past? Well, so into shaping your now model. It would mean we're all connected. We're all completely connected to everything that has ever happened, and we're a part of what comes forward. I find that really powerful, and then I use that example that I just described in how this new thing that would be outside of any previous understanding we had ever had would be observed by different observers. And then I looked at I looked at not bad people or anything else, but what it would look like from these different observers, and what would be the reflection of that model that they believed in back to them. And so you can watch that and you can say, what is it? But I think what you'll find is that's why this is going to be, there's way more of the observers going into this new thing that don't understand it.
Yeah.
And
such a good point. We see that all the time on the internet, where like people come to whatever piece of content they're consuming, like looking for something, and they always find it.
Yeah.
Right. It's so fascinating to see all these people. And then I always wonder, it's like, have you ever thought about it? You're zooming in on one thing and you're missing out the bigger picture? And so
what you just said there, and I honestly, I think about this all the time, is when I watch the chaos and I watch what people believe, and they're so sure of their beliefs and they reinforce their beliefs, and everything around them is the same belief, and they look for people that kind of thing. Then I ask the next question: if that's true for just about everyone I know, it has to be true for me too. Has to be, right? And so now, how do you pull yourself out of that and ask just the same thing that you did a different way, right? How do you pull yourself out and just be? Here's a different way. 10 people could say something great about you. One person could say something bad about you. You'll think about the bad all day. Why is that? Right. And it's because it's shattering our identity, or what we tell, and that feels bad. And the good ones feel, but both the good and the bad is just information.
Yeah, it's data.
It's our version of what we make the information to be that drives our emotion and keeps us typically stuck.
I would completely agree. When I say stuff like this, people look at me like I'm crazy, or
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about their situation. I'm like, I'm purely thinking about your situation. But you're clearly someone who's had very high agency, it seems like, for a very long time. Can you pinpoint like why that is? Is that like a personal innate thing, or did something happen to you?
But this is actually why I said the speech, because and this is where sometimes I get emotional talking about it. That I couldn't thank all of the people that are part of me is so beautiful and everything else, and I couldn't, because I've read 50 books a year since I was 18, right? All of those things, some people that I completely disagree with, that are still part of who I am today. But when I see just about everybody I run into has something that's their genius, right? And then paired to their genius is their tethered liability, right? And when we talk about other people, most people you talk about want to talk about people's liability, the thing that they're bad at, instead of the thing they're good at, right? And then we do this. It's fascinating. I think the biggest thing for me is observing kind of how other people act in the world, then I have to realize that I probably do too, right? No better, no worse, no anything else. And then trying to fix those things to be able to take the same curiosity into how do I show up, and because what is the only way I could know, right, is if I use this on many different podcasts before, but I use the victim analogy. Right? What does the victim really want? They want love and belonging, right? And something happened to that person that everybody came to care, right? It showed up as that's the way I get love and belonging. And they use that thing over and over. They have a sign on their forehead that everyone else can see, and everybody talks about them behind their back. Nobody ever turns the sign around. What they do, and as people move away because it's too hard to be around that person, they double down to create more drama to try to bring the person back. And so they have a construct, a model of reality, trying to get love and belonging, that pushes the very thing they want away with all their might, but they don't know it, right? And that same construct, if you now say somebody does that to, where do you do it?
Mm-hmm.
Because you probably do it, because the only way, what you realize, if you can't see those things and they can't see those things, then and love and belong, that love is abundant everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
If they just had a different mental model.
I completely agree. Yeah, I sent a message to Keith probably about a few weeks ago. I was like, the internet is so awesome. You get to see how awesome people can be.
Yep.
Right? I think that's such an amazing thing. When you truly grasp that, it's like, it's hard to not have hope for humanity when you see it on display, how amazing people can be.
So that thing that you're talking about, and it creates your reality. So if you're walking down the street with two people, they see totally different. Like if you have that reality, that's real, and somebody else has the opposite reality, that people are bad, right? You'll see two different realities, and they'll both come true for each of you. It's not more true or less true. They're both true,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's us bumping into that, and when you, so that shapes your view. It shapes it shapes the things you do, the people you meet, and the opportunities you see.
A lot of people are in rabbit holes within social media that have become very toxic because it allowed for this very thing you're describing to happen at such rapid paces and perfectly built to prey on human instincts or like stimulus inside their body that makes it more effective. How can someone audit or like start that process of being like, where is this happening for me?
These conversations, and then moving out of it, because you have to. So what I recognize in myself, if everyone I knew, because I use the victim analogy all the time, but let's say something I'll use something in me, chasing more for a long time, more money, more success, more which could pull away from family things that say I wanted. And I could tell myself, all the people that tell me you were so successful, do this and everything else, would make me want to do that more, which would push my family. What are you doing? Where's our time? Right? And you wouldn't even see it, and then that would create a divide in your family. So what you'd have to, if you can't see it and your friends can't see it in them, then how could you have a harsh measure? And my harsh measure is, what will somebody else, what will my wife on a scale of 1 to 10 say about our relationship? If it's not a 10, it's me. What will each of my kids say about our relationship? If it's not a 10, it's me. Because it's so easy to say, to accept the credit that everybody shines on you. And then as soon as there's something negative, assign blame to somebody else. Right. And so the only objective way I could find to be able to find it myself is that, so that you would find, essentially you'd use the things that you wanted to blame on somebody else to find the deeper truth for you.
Jeff, for someone who is listening to this conversation, they've fully understood this idea of the natural state of the free market is deflation, and Bitcoin is a protocol that enables us to realize that world. All of these other things around how we think about how to live our life, the things that matter, things that are important, can also kind of collapse with the rest of those other thoughts.
Yep.
What takes the place of that? Like, what would be the North Star if this is the reality of the world?
It's a beautiful thing. When I said both realities are true, depending on the observer, or all realities are true depending on the observer, then you have to ask yourself, what's happening in your own life to understand what that looks like, and what would happen if you had an honest protocol that couldn't be changed, that was just guaranteed, bounded by energy, guaranteed the free market, and then more and more people operated in the free market. The abundance gained from all of the ideas competing for us would spread to us, right? And as you added more people into that, there'd be more ideas, which would mean faster deflation, which means faster abundance, faster productivity gains, which would be faster abundance. And so how could you, so if you believe in hope and believe in people, and they all have a role in this thing, it's the most optimistic place you could be. Like, it's so crazy because you're watching this emerge. You might be early, but you're moving to a spot where there's going to be 8 billion people in service of 8 billion people. And it looks so dramatically different. So now you have to realize that you have two different systems, and the one that I'm describing has never existed. And we've always had to live in a control system, which would go to war, kill millions of people, and then reset money, and then start again over and over through this. We've always lived in this zero-sum game. And so if you were outside of the zero-sum game, truly outside of the zero-sum game, and you felt what that looked like, truly felt what it looked like, and it was getting easier and easier and easier, and it was a collection of, would you ever go back to the zero-sum game? And so that's what gives me hope. But then if you think about structures, how do you control somebody? Like, what happened in COVID? What happened in how you control somebody is through fear, right? And today there's this giant, more and more fear, more and more anxiety, removing your own agency, that's trying to suck you back in to, you're not enough, right? You're only enough if you look like this person or this or that, and you have tons of people that don't have enough money. They're trying to get enough money. They're taking risk on everything else inside that system, believing other people, and creating more and more fear. And that fear, if you are in fear, you cannot see opportunity. They're two different ideas. If you are in hope and you're in abundance, you see tons of different opportunity. And so what the biggest thing is, I know for sure that the structure of the nature of reality from credit money has to create more fear, anxiety structure, more control, less agency. It's mathematically, it has to. And if you're outside of that system, you're living in the opposite of that system. It feels really hopeful, feels really abundant, feels really, you see beautiful people moving in all the time, and once they're moving in, they never go back.
What would stop the current powers from getting enough Bitcoin to then just basically create the same reality if we switched over to this new system? Or are you saying that it wouldn't matter?
It wouldn't matter, because it's not the number of Bitcoin, it's the decentralized and security. Let's go forward on a Bitcoin standard. Let's say now money is Bitcoin, and you're not trading in a piece of paper that's being stolen from you, and you have 10,000 Bitcoin, and so you're purchasing. If you don't want, if to gain more Bitcoin, you have to contribute more value than you'd receive, right? So you have to contribute to society to have somebody give you their Bitcoin, and that competitive force is constantly competing against you to deliver more value. If you want to live life high on you have no more control. You could spend more, which is distributing your Bitcoin to other people who are, is where it's constantly distributing. You could create an army to try to take people's Bitcoin, but it's decentralized and secure. So what would you be doing by creating an army? Giving up your Bitcoin faster, right? All those roads end in the same place. So we can expect a whole bunch of these things to happen, right? because but you can move into the system, you can run a node, you can own a protocol, the part of a protocol that is the productivity of the world flowing to you. Just hold on to the protocol, spend in the protocol, start meeting other people who are using the protocol. You'll see all of these different opportunities emerge that you didn't even know existed while you were in the other system.
Where are the places in the world where this has been the most developed so far?
It's so we have portfolio companies, and this is just to give you a sense. We have portfolio companies that are doing billions of dollars per quarter in Lightning transactions and on top of Bitcoin. Well, the world says Bitcoin's not being used as a currency, right? So it's crazy to watch what we see, and this is happening. Well, one of those is in Africa. It's growing really, really fast in Africa. There's a whole bunch of different things in Africa where money would be more broken. You can see in El Salvador too, where kind of turned around the economy, everything by doing this. Bitcoin isn't broadly used in El Salvador. It's broadly used in pockets of El Salvador, and there's circular economies within El Salvador that are completely on Bitcoin. Thailand, different places. So yeah, Bitcoin Akasi in Africa, but just lots of different pockets, and those pockets are now coming together, right? And best practices and different things and different technologies. So it's emerging. I wouldn't say there's a nation state.
Got it.
That is besides El Salvador.
As we transition to this, if and when it happens, we mentioned a lot that there would be every bit of an attempt to stop it, and that could potentially lead to like more totalitarian things and measures of that sort. Have you thought about like where people should be living or considering living to try to alleviate some of that?
So I've moved to the US right now from Canada, and I'll probably, if it just the way we think about kind of our house or how we grew up, if you just our mental models, right? The previous mental model, white picket fence, you want your family, your kids playing on the street and everything else, and you realize that that's already gone. The neighborhoods don't look like that anymore. And why don't they look like that anymore? Largely because the house is being used to protecting debasing of money, right? And so the house value versus the money has gone way up, and the families can't live in the houses anymore. It's owned by and so the entire system degrades by the same money, right? And it's breaking down faster and faster, and people are taking all this leverage to try to live in a house because they think that's their only way out to escape the financial nightmare that they're in for their money losing value. So they're essentially storing their purchasing power in a house because it can't be stolen as fast as money, right? And then they don't realize that then the taxes are going to go way up on the house, right? And they don't actually own their house. They're paying a huge mortgage to be able to have the privilege to rent a house from the government.
Yeah, it's more of a trap than anything.
Right? And it becomes a trap, and they go into that. So then the foundation of society starts to break down. You need two incomes to be able to afford the house. Kids don't have one of the parents at home. Things start to change all across this, and it gets worse and worse and worse. From the alternative system, from Bitcoin, it's repricing the house, right? So my house was 6 years ago 300 Bitcoin. Now it's 15 Bitcoin. 4 years from now it'll be 1 Bitcoin, right? It's the house was never going up. It was going up according to infinite monetary units. Mm-hmm. Fixed monetary units, it's going down, right? So these things are just going to impose a reality, and people are going to make different choices against that. And to your question, and I didn't get to the end of the question, is what does that mean? If the past 30 years look like this and people trying to hold their money constant that created all these other problems, the next 10 is you have exponential technology trying to drive exponential productivity, trying to drive labor out, right, to make things more affordable, better. against things that are rising in prices like crazy, you have to remove labor faster. Why? Because if you don't use the AI to remove the labor, then somebody else will, and your company will be non-existent because we won't use the thing that costs more. We're a part of it. So that thing should provide all of us value. If we don't, or if we're not on a monetary standard that allows that to provide us value, it's getting extracted at a crazy rate. And so what does that mean for the next 10 years? Where, what? It's going to be chaotic. It's going to be crazy chaotic because there's very few people that know what I'm talking about right now. There's very few people actioning. Even if they knew, there's very few people in a percentage wise running nodes, activating in, spending their time in a new system. Most people are still giving all their time to the system that's extracting their time. So you can just say, if that's true, the next 10 years are going to be very chaotic.
So why America then?
So America's 50, the states that have more control than in Canada, right, provide some sort of decentralization to a control system. It's messy, it's chaotic, everything else, but it typically resolves around that free will, and the states, and it's more of a spot right now that I'm going to be watching other areas emerge, and what I think about is I don't want to be married to a place anymore for the next little while. I want to be I want to still think the same things for my family, same thing and everything, but I'll solve them a different way rather than the white picket fence, and because I'll need to have that flexibility in the world that is moving forward.
The final thing that comes to my mind that I want to make sure I ask is, isn't it technically in the best interest of the people who have the most control now to promote the Bitcoin standard if it's inevitable?
Yes, but so what ends up happening by the mental model? So if you live in fear and you saw technology doing this and you said, okay, technology is moving at this rate, and that means that people can bioengineer a biohazard in their home and kill millions of people, what you would drive from that model is, I need more control to stop those people, right? And I need to have a massive surveillance state to control people, and that would get worse and worse and worse. And then as these people were what they were really doing is rebelling against a control system, right? You see it all, and the more you pressed, the more you would create the thing the thing you hated the most, but you wouldn't know it from inside that. You could tell yourself, I have to do this to protect people, and it could be believable to you. When the actual people don't want to do that, right? They want to do they want to live a life. They want to live the life so when people are living in hope, abundance, and everything else, they're not likely to create all these things from the same technology that could create it. But the control system thinks, right? You look at Palestine, Israel, look at those bad people and what they do and everything else. We got to stop those terrorists, right? More and more surveillance, which we fund because we believe we're living in fear of what could happen by those people. If you resolve that in a different way, everybody has abundance. You're competing to provide value to other people, and the output of all of us competing is we all win. That goes away. But it's such a mind break from how people are measuring what we're describing, right? You can't see the solution from the control system. In fact, you're making the problem worse. Name one thing name one thing that you are fearful of that you could solve from a system that arbitrarily creates more monetary units. And you realize every single thing you worry about is from that system. I got to run
Yeah.
in about 1 minute, if that's okay.
No worries. Appreciate your time, Jeff. Everybody who's watching this, all the things that Jeff had mentioned are linked in the description box. So definitely go show him some love there, and go download Primal or get on Primal and go follow Jeff over there, as I believe that's where you mostly communicate, right?
Yeah, and do so if you're doing that, my public identity key is on my website.
Cool.
Make sure you check that first, because
Sweet.
I said this last time, there's just too many impersonators, scammers, everything else. I will
Got
never ask you for money.
Cool. We'll make sure to add that in the description as well.
Fantastic.
Amazing.
Thank you so much, Jeff.
Thank you so much, Jeff. Have a wonderful week. We'll talk to you soon.
See ya.
Bye-bye. What's up, chat?
Fantastic. I honestly feel like I just had a therapy session here.
Yeah, Jeff's awesome, man. He's my kind of guy for sure. But how we feeling, chat? How are we feeling? Yeah, we didn't do the one word game with him. We'll have to do that next time. Great call though. And where is this thing? I'm trying to find that key.
Oh yeah, it's at the bottom of the site. Okay. Which is a whole nother thing. It's kind of a lesson worth talking about really quickly. When you're dealing in the space of Bitcoin, or even in the rest of crypto, it's really important that you take advantage of this concept of verify rather than trusting. And so at the bottom of his website, right, the way that you can know what his actual account is on the network is that he's got this address here from the Nostr app protocol, I don't even know what you would call it, that is his Bitcoin address, right? So I can take that and I can go to, let's see, I don't even know what the actual, I think it's called the blockchain.com Explorer, right? And I can actually verify, I can look at, first off, when I'm on Nostr, obviously I'm going to paste that address into Nostr so that I can know that I'm actually on his profile. But then also, I could probably find his actual Bitcoin wallet to some degree. You know, I'm not familiar with this, so actually it looks like that's not necessarily a wallet because nothing's coming up when I look for it that way. But in general, the point here is,
I think it's basically like their username.
Gotcha. Yeah. Using these technologies to verify rather than trusting.
Like essentially it serves the same utility that a verification badge does on traditional social media.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So
anything else in the chat y'all want to chop it up on? Do you see anything, Keith?
No. Nope.
Then you want to jump into the second half then?
Let's do it.
Let's get it.
So lots of stuff going on out here in the world. So we will dive into some news.
We got some juicy news, man.
Oh yeah. First things first, someone just brought it up in the chat, or not too long ago. What's going on in China? Donaldo Trump alongside some of the top CEOs in the United States, joining Trump over in China for discussions that have been taking place. There's been some interesting announcements that have come out of that so far. One of them being China's ability to potentially be buying chips from Nvidia. Okay, so U.S. clears H200 chip sales to 10 China firms as Nvidia CEO looks for a breakthrough. Came out 3 hours ago. So that's probably the biggest thing that I've actually seen come out of this. But in general, also there was this clip circulating of, that's crazy, of President Xi talking about, the opportunity for America and China to work together.
Yeah, I saw that of them saying we should be allies, not was it adversaries? I can't remember the exact word.
Yes, something of that nature. And I think 100% that is something that was surprising to people, and is something that, uh, if it happens, if we really find that being the future, then hopefully we'll see a lot more peace in the world. Um, I feel like a lot of the tension that we see around a lot of things kind of comes from this like U.S. China rivalry.
But won't that just change, like the character? 'Cause before China, it was Russia.
Yes, but I don't think that it's the same problems, right? So, for instance, the thing that's just coming to my head is the talk around AI. The reason I say having better, if you were able to have better relations between the US and China, could potentially make AI not as big of a problem, is because, first off, maybe you get to the point to where we can slow down. Okay. Because now we're not worried about China, whatever this deal that they did where 10 Chinese firms can now buy these chips. Hopefully there's something around like, how they use them or whatever, right? Obviously, you can't necessarily enforce these things, but just philosophically,
Mm-hmm.
if we're not fighting each other to be number one in AI, then we can slow down and make sure that we do it right. I don't know.
Yeah, I think a lot of the world is a lot more coordinated than people like to admit or are willing to admit, in my opinion.
That's fair.
But if that's the end outcome, I'm still happy about it.
Yep. Totally. Another thing that happened just yesterday, we had Kevin Warsh confirmed as the chairman of the board of governors of the Federal Reserve System.
He's got to be the first person with a position like this that's pro crypto, right? Like anything close to that.
Physically, I mean, yeah, it's literally just, yep, by far the first person. I mean, it's only been around since 2008, so we've only had what, two other
But I mean,
people?
like any even close to that level of job.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, the Treasury Secretary this time around,
Is
but
pro
still,
Bitcoin.
yeah, but before him also, no, that never happened.
Clarity Act just passed.
Yes. Well, yes, it advanced at the very minimum. That's the thing that I'm never understanding of, like, where you're actually at, but
In
I
the
think that
political
just comes down
process.
to my ignorance of the political system.
There's a lot of shit for sure.
So the Clarity Act advances out of the Senate Banking Committee on a 15-9 bipartisan vote as of 11:49 this morning, according to Eleanor Tourette.
Yeah.
So now it needs to go to one ahead of a Senate vote. Okay, so there's two bills that are going to merge into one ahead of a Senate vote. That's what happens next. Cool. So, yes, that's another thing that's occurred here this morning. Another thing that we had going on is Trump, like, basically sold a bunch of phones to people, I think like a year or so ago.
Phones?
Yeah.
Like his own phone? He had a Trump phone?
Yeah. And they like never came out until now. And this probably isn't even the real thing, apparently. This has gotten community noted. But Trump Mobile has gone ahead and at least started to show some of what they're doing here.
It looks like an iPhone like 5 years ago.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't expect anything technologically advanced.
So then what would be the allure of this?
It would either have to be some illusion of privacy is the only thing that needs to happen in the phone world, or just pure brand.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
So Carlton says the Clarity Act has about 4 more steps.
Wow.
Yeah. So we ain't there yet.
Yeah.
It's always, these things always get blown up because these Twitter aggregator pages deliberately make it seem like it's done.
For sure. And to be fair, you know, like, just like with any of these processes, I mean, it making it to the next step is, you know, definitely meaningful, to be fair.
Yeah, we live in the land of hyperbole, so it's always like,
Yeah.
it's done right now, trillions incoming.
There was a compromise. Trillions incoming. It's like,
Prepare your
bro,
bags.
they didn't even vote yet. That's funny. Speaking on all of that, of course, Twitter is now doing the thing that it does. Let me.
Do you want me to try?
I'll just do it incognito, because that usually solves the problem. Speaking on all of that, Brian Armstrong had just made a statement about a day or so ago. Let's see what he had to say.
Hey everyone, Brian Armstrong here. I'm back in the Senate office building in DC in anticipation of crypto market structure legislation going to markup on Thursday, which would be a historic moment, and the energy here is just palpable. So first off, just want to say a big thank you to the Senate and of course their staff who have been putting in countless hours to get this bill to a good place. I don't think it's ever been in a more strong position and more bipartisan position. And I also want to thank the 3.7 million Stand With Crypto advocates who have made their voices heard to get this legislation to where it is today. Now, there were a number of open issues that have now made incredible progress. Stablecoin rewards was a big one. You know, I think there was a healthy compromise there, brokered by Senators Tillis and also Brooks. And you know, it was a good compromise because both sides left a little bit unhappy, but at least we got to a place that we can all live with. And then, of course, the other issues, which I mentioned in my X post back in January that were problematic in the prior draft, things like DeFi and tokenized equities and CFTC authority, these have all been improved and fixed from our point of view. And so the bill is stronger than ever. It's bipartisan. It's ready to go to markup. And I'm incredibly bullish on what this could mean for American innovation and ordinary Americans benefiting from this technology. So we'll keep you updated and keep fighting the good fight. Thanks.
What are your thoughts there?
It's funny. Like, I guess, like, who else would they pick? But what?
That he's the guy, you mean?
Yeah, like, there's always got to be figureheads, right? That become like, oh no, this is a good thing. Look what it did, right? Like, there's a character. Look at Elon's a perfect example, right? So yeah, it's really fascinating that he's being like presented to the normies, being like, see, look, crypto's not messed up.
It's kind of fascinating too. I haven't really been able to reconcile this. I'd love to talk to Brian Armstrong about it. Like, how do you do what he's doing and be a believer in Bitcoin, right? You know, if like a full-on believer in Bitcoin, the way that Jeff is.
Yeah, I can't wait to have all those guys on here.
Yeah,
awesome.
I mean, they've gone in a whole nother direction. They've got like prediction markets and all this other stuff, which I don't know that it's antithetical to Bitcoin. I guess that's maybe a part of what you would do on top of Bitcoin as well. But I don't know, man. It's a weird thing, this whole Coinbase situation. Them being a publicly traded company now, them being a custodial platform, obviously offering non-custodial solutions as well. It's interesting. And listening to him speak about the evolution of all of this is also super wild too.
There's also a few investments that I've made that I now feel way better about having made. That are related to him. If you do your own research, you'll find.
Okay. Like stuff that's not like stuff in the crypto world.
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha. Very, very interesting.
We'll see.
Been as deep into the base NFTs, guys.
No, it's not NFTs related at all. But I do think it solves a very large real world problem that I think the fact that he's associated now is definitely advantageous.
Well, there you go, folks. Go deep on the Brian Armstrong lore. So the Coexistence letter talks about how Nvidia has now surpassed silver as the second largest asset in the world, worth $5.52 trillion. Google is less than 4% away from becoming the second company in history to hit a $5 trillion market cap. We are witnessing historic technological revolution. I'm pretty sure this happened before, if I'm not mistaken. Like before gold and silver had their like super crazy run off top. I feel like Nvidia had already done this, but maybe I'm tripping. Certainly, this also means that Nvidia is larger than some nation states at this point. In fact, it's larger than the GDP, to be fair, okay, which is not the assets of a country, but Nvidia is now worth more than the GDP of every country in the world except the USA and China.
Wow.
Imagine that.
Yeah, that's pretty remarkable. But I guess the stories make it seem justifiable, right? In terms of what it is that they're building and the role they play in that.
Right. Some other piece about that that's super interesting is like when you think about like what does Nvidia actually do, right? And when you think about it from that lens, it also is pretty wild to think that this is the largest company in the world and almost the largest asset in the entire world. Because in reality, this company is a design company. Right? I'm trying to find the tweet about this. But yeah, so Dan Collins here on Twitter, he said, look, what's even crazier about this fact is that basically it's a design firm with no manufacturing or physical assets. Think about that.
Can I say that again?
Yeah. So the largest company in the world is basically a design firm with no manufacturing or physical assets.
They don't make their own chips?
No, TSMC makes them.
Really?
They design them.
That's kind of, wasn't Apple basically the same thing too? Before? Because it always said designed in California. That they always harped on that.
That is true. That is true. Yeah.
Well, we wouldn't even have, like, it would not be economically viable to like do it here. Maybe
slightly made.
Maybe with robots.
With the
with the boop-bops.
Yeah, and even then, materials wise, it gets a lot harder to make it feasible too. At least that's what we're trying to just accelerate. So they've got the people, they've got the materials. It's like, hey man, just come on over here. You know what I mean? Come on. So that's what's happened there. A couple of other things that have happened totally worth sharing. You guys have hopefully seen this by now, but you had this guy who lost some Bitcoin in his day. And eventually he got lucky enough that he had the help of artificial intelligence to help him recover that Bitcoin. And so this guy here says, holy effing ish. OMG, Claude just cracked this ish. Thank you, Anthropic. Thank you, Dario. Naming my kid after you. Because in 2023, he posted this about how his wallet with his locked Bitcoin from 9 years ago has 5 Bitcoin sitting in it. And at that time, it was sitting at around 400,000. Funny enough, it's about the same now. And so this guy, Shirish, said, holy ish, dude just recovered 5 Bitcoin that had been locked for 11 years using Claude AI. He got high in college, changed the password to LOL420F the police, and forgot it. Tried trillions of guesses, paid recovery services, nothing worked. He then dumped his entire old college computer into Claude. AI found the old wallet file, spotted a bug in the recovery tool, fixed it, and extracted the keys. How crazy is that?
Definitely wild if true.
I think it's pretty darn crazy. But you think that's a good ad for Anthropic?
I don't know. I'm always skeptical of all these things. If I haven't spoken to the person, I typically don't believe it.
That's totally fair. Like you mentioned in the past, it's like when the story also becomes the actual name of the company itself, right? That's also something that's kind of worth thinking about.
Yeah. And you also got to think about like a lot of this hysteria that we're even experiencing with the AI world, it was done with marketing dollars, right? Like it starts with Twitter and then it expands from there. But a lot of it was just done by marketing budgets and taking advantage of the incentive structures of these systems. So it's been fascinating to watch it because I've been at the forefront of it because it's like the clients that I've had and like my own consumption habits on social media. So it's been quite fascinating to follow. Like at the very least, the AI narrative will be studied from like a propaganda or marketing perspective in the future, like regardless of what happens. Do you know what I'm saying? Because like what they've done in terms of, because I really want to have the Internet of Bugs guy on.
Yeah.
I really want to have him on because I think that'd be a great conversation because obviously with these valuations, they're promising such crazy, marvelous things where it'll be interesting to see if they can cash those checks they're writing.
100%, man. Yep. The next thing that I saw here was X is going to roll out an iron slop dome to counter AI slop on the platform. You know, lots of AI slop going on
Bro.
X, Twitter.
Almost every reply is a bot.
You're talking to bots
all the
Jeff
time.
Lewis.
He's not wrong. And
Yeah,
even
man.
it's reached a crazy level where, so former producer of the show, producer Kurt, like even he's seeing it now.
Oh,
right. So it's like, you know, when someone who doesn't care about this stuff is seeing it, that's a pretty clear indication.
Absolutamente. The next piece that I had here was Instagram just dropped a new feature. Ben, have you been seeing this? It's called Instance, and it's a new way to share in the moment pics with friends. You're on mute here.
Yeah, because there's my
Okay.
building is saying there's a fire alarm.
Uh-oh.
He keeps talking. So why do you need this?
It's just the new story. Story's got 2 commercials, how I'm looking at it.
Okay.
Like this is like back to actual stories, back to actual Snapchat.
So this is only seen by people that follow you and you follow them.
Correct.
The mutuals.
Correct.
Got it.
Did you derive that from what I just said?
No,
Or did you know that already?
Seeing the UI UX.
Okay. Yeah. That is it. And so yeah, super interesting concept.
I think it makes sense. They did the whole, what was that shit called? They basically brought back the Facebook status through DMs. I think it's called a note.
Okay.
So it's brilliant if you can bring back nostalgic driven features to like give people some semblance of why they fell in love with the platform in the first place. And so I think these are more things to try to do that. I also think there's gonna be a massive resurgence of Instagram in terms of like people's public goodwill because they didn't like it because TikTok came in and gave everyone views. But Instagram's a better platform if you're trying to grow a business. But people are just so obsessed with, I need more exposure because they think views solves their money problem, which was like unbelievably ignorant. But I understood why people thought that because they had not been in social media. So I used to make content for one of my clients where we would talk about Instagram a lot, and people like hated on Instagram so much. I think that'll start to change.
Yeah, interesting, man. I've definitely started to understand Instagram as a business tool, and it's certainly better than TikTok. Well, I guess.
We get no views on TikTok.
Yeah, I talked about this in this video I'm about to drop. How like the same video I post and over again, I've posted videos on Instagram that have gotten millions of views.
Literal millions.
Millions of views. And then on TikTok, like 40,000, I think is the max we've ever gotten.
Oh yeah. And some of them are just so crazy where they'll get like 100. It's like, how is that even possible? Where it got like millions here and then a few hundred here. Like that that doesn't make any sense. I just think that we're not the kind of content that TikTok wants on there.
Exactly. That's what I said in the video. I was like, I think so from a business perspective, it's two things. Like, first off, you're not going to get as much like transactions that you're going to get unless you're TikTok shopping, I guess. But then also, whenever you get attention, like the reason it's hard to get attention for something that's actually worthy is because those people aren't there and they're not consuming that.
TikTok is trash.
So you're going to get people who aren't going to transact with you anyway, even if you get views.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, no, it's a fascinating phenomenon, like seeing the user profiles of people that spend time on different things. And yeah, they all have pros and cons to each platform and the audience on there. But if you understand those things, you can be pretty deliberate with where you spend your time. And like we talk about this all the time, but making the platforms work for you rather than working for them.
Yeah. One of the things I noticed was like the comments that I got on some of the stuff on TikTok also. Like, I guess Instagram is more commercial. So people are used to stuff. And like, they were like, somebody on TikTok was like, oh, this was great until it turned into an ad. I was like, interesting.
They didn't even realize that everything already is an ad.
Yeah.
But I just think on short form platforms in general, the ignorance level is very high. But on TikTok, I would say it's like a different level.
Yeah. It makes like, I don't really know people. I don't know a whole lot of people, maybe younger people who really use TikTok.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know.
I barely use that thing ever. Like I have a few buddies that they clearly use it because they send me some funny stuff every so often. So I'll go in like once a week to like reply to what they've sent me. But I definitely try not to consume on there at all.
Yeah. So new stuff coming out. I also thought about how Instagram gets to just drop a feature, bro, and like instantly millions, tens of millions, maybe even hundreds of millions of people are using that new feature immediately.
Yeah, and pro tip, whenever they launch a new feature, it always gets juiced in the algo for two reasons. Like one of which because the supply and demand equation, but two, they also want to normalize the behavior. So if you're quick to new features, that can be a cheat code to get some growth.
Totally. And yeah, and it's fascinating to see how like features go from being like about social connection to eventually becoming commercial,
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how Instance like takes that turn.
Yeah, there's already tools that you can do with that. Like one thing that I used to preach to a lot of my clients was like I was shocked that people weren't better leveraging the close friends feature. Because you can get so like, think about it, your core people, your core customers, you give them like I was like preaching to my buddy who ran a barbershop. I'm like, oh my God, my fire alarm's going crazy. I was like, why aren't you doing this? And like if you ever have an urgent like seat, you can just say come in, whatever.
What does he do? An urgent seat? What do you mean?
Barbershop. So I'm saying, like, let's say you have empty space and you want to fill it. You're like, okay, $5 off for the first person who comes in and gets this or whatever.
Yes. Very cool. Absolutely, man. Yeah. One of my guys, Clift Roach, he uses it pretty well, where he like just it's interesting. He promotes more of his stuff there, but he knows that there's people that obviously want to see it anyways, and he does a really good job of just like making it entertaining while he does it. But let's see here. So time to react to some stuff that's been going on out here. This graphic has been going crazy on Twitter, and it is about the trends of the young folk. So, huge collapse in drinking among high schoolers. This is actually crazy. I didn't actually look at the stat itself. I just watched what people were saying, but you're talking about from right before 1980, 92% of 12th graders who had ever consumed alcohol. That number being down to 47% today. That's crazy.
That is fascinating. But it also, I wonder how accurate that data is too, because with it being cool back then, like, would people have lied about doing it even if they didn't, and now vice versa this time too? So that's also something to consider, is like the social, like the psychology part of it. But definitely in general, people are drinking way less. That's pretty evident everywhere, and which also has a trickle down effect to so many things, right? Because if you think about, let's say, like the food business, like restaurants, so many restaurants were only able to exist because they made margin on the alcohol, right? And so with people drinking less, that totally changes like a adjacent business model that things need to be considered. And I think it's a net good thing. Like, drinking's not good for you. Obviously, you're drinking poison. But yeah, I don't know.
So Matthew Kobach said, "This might be an unpopular opinion, but I think this is bad, right?"
You can look at it many different ways. That probably means socializing is down as well, which
Exactly.
I'm sure the angle he's taking.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people have been saying, is that two things really. This just is like, yes, people are not hanging out as much, but that is actually also a result of people being poorer as well, potentially.
If there's a cost associated, yeah.
Which with alcohol,
Yeah. And
technically.
it's usually pretty expensive too, especially at a bar.
So this guy right here, for instance, he was like, teens aren't drinking less. Brad Wilcox, teens aren't drinking less because they got more health conscious. No, excuse me, not. Wait, hold on. Teens aren't drinking less because they got more health conscious. They're drinking less because they're hanging out less. English.
Could both be happening, I'm sure. Yeah.
So, yeah. So, anyways, thought that was worth sharing.
Yeah, I already said it. I think they smoke more than they drink, and that's probably happening as well.
True. And then I had my little quote tweet on the phenomenon where I said, now do gambling, because I think we can imagine that number is going up.
Dude, it's a shit show, because I have a buddy who maybe I've talked to on the show, but he's a teacher at a private school here in Canada. Bro, they're all under the age of 18, and he said that gambling is like an epidemic at the school. It's all the guys talk about. It's all they do during class is gambling. I was like, what? How are they even getting on there, man?
That's crazy.
Yeah, man. So, yeah. So when I told him about our app, he's like, please, like, the second that thing's live, like, let me know.
Right. Very cool. Next thing here, MTS, monitoring the situation, said, situation detected. Superstar AI researchers can earn close to $50 million a year, about 10x that of a median NBA player, per Epic AI.
Yeah. But how much of that is driven by the current hype cycle?
Sure.
It'd be interesting to see how long that, like, the longevity of that.
I'm also curious as to what exactly these people are saying is a superstar researcher.
Yeah, that's quite vague.
Yeah, I would have to look into their research. But even like if you look at that versus a postdoc person, like it's not even 1/100th. Basically, it's 1/100th of that superstar researcher, someone who has a doctorate degree. That's fascinating.
It's one thing that's really funny though, man. I guess it's not funny, but the more people, like, whenever I meet people who keep going to school, they're usually learning about like the dumbest shit, and it's not like not necessarily dumb, like learn whatever you want to learn, but in terms of this, like the return on investment, there's no way it could make sense when they're that far into this like super obscure niche subject. I'm not saying it doesn't hold value, but like if they're in there thinking they're gonna make a lot of money, there's no way.
Well, I also feel like technically now that is the way though, right? If you're gonna do it.
What do you mean?
Because, like, for instance, you sent me that one about Julian Doris. We'll bring that up. Actually, it's a pretty good one, about the price of the MBA. Remember the
Yes.
Trying to find that real quick.
People should be more mad at universities, man. Like they are ripping people off.
100%. My goodness, dude, why is it so hard for me to find?
The university system is kind of like a microcosm of the things that Jeff's referring to in terms of the larger system, about how like the people involved and associated, like even if they disagree with it, they'll just like, because of their identity, they continue to like prop it up.
Mm-hmm. Right, right. But basically, I'm unfortunately struggling. Oh no, here it is.
I can find it.
So Julian Dory said the scam is running out in response to Polymarket saying that just in business schools are slashing MBA tuition by as much as 50% due to falling demand. What was that?
We lost your camera, King.
Oh, snap, dude.
You're good. You're good. But yeah, that's, I don't know. Business. I went to business school, and I can tell you with the highest degree of conviction that the subject matter that I learned there was absolute horseshit. Like, and so there was no, within my first like month or two, I was like, okay, this is like actually useless. And so then I was like, there's no way I'm doing further education if there's a chance that it's gonna be more of this. So that's not too shocking to me. And also, like, I always find it so funny that, like, okay, if we're here for the information, like, you're telling me you think my school's better than Harvard? Like, Harvard posts their shit for free. Oftentimes, you know what I mean? Like,
Right. Yeah.
so it's like
Harvard, MIT.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting thought. But yeah, so my thing is like technically, like yeah, like an MBA or going to business school is probably the least valuable thing that you could do, but specializing in something obscure might actually allow you to take more advantage of AI and things of that nature.
Very true. That could turn on its head. That's a very fair and valid point, because like the MBA was really to like get people who were gatekeepers to like think you're really smart, right? Like it's so funny. Even people are like, oh, he's got a really smart guy. He's got an MBA, and I'm like, okay. I'm not saying like I'm not saying any person could go get an MBA. I'm just saying like, is that really helping them in their actual profession, or are they simply doing that for the social or the optics of it? And then if that is why, that seems silly to me.
For sure, and to your point, there's certainly people that are trying to go out and get degrees and crazy obscure things in that sort of a manner, trying to prove something to someone else in some way.
Even school by school, like I went to a very mid-tier business school here in Canada, and my buddies who got into like the better schools thought they were like learning something different and groundbreaking, and we had the exact same textbooks. I was like, all you guys did was like care more about stuff that didn't matter.
Yeah. Super fascinating, man. I definitely feel for people who have had to go through that or are going through that in a way that doesn't feel right. Because, I mean, man, it's a really tough thing to get out of. It's like, especially if you're just in the middle of it, it's like
sunk cost is very real.
Yeah, man.
And then the power of everyone there, because like who's immediately there that you're gonna talk to about it? They're in on it.
Right.
I saw that. That was like a big eye-opening thing for me when like everyone was so obsessed with it in high school. I talked about it a lot, but like it was kind of messed up, dude. Like the people who were going to college or going into the trades, they were seen as like lesser than by the teachers.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? It was very, very, very weird. Like the fact that people were like insecure to say if they're going to a college rather than a university. That's our like your community college is probably what our college is.
Okay, gotcha.
And then what you guys call college, we call university.
Gotcha.
And so university was like the higher education, but you learned out. Honestly, and I was saying this to my little sister before she went to school. I was like, don't go to university. It's a total scam. College is probably a quarter of the price and actually more applicable. Because I was like, everyone in there was just pretending we were learning shit. That was like, that's what business major was. It was like, who can pretend the best?
Right. Yeah, dude. I spent a short stint in the business school in Miami, and I was like, I mean, I probably should have just by the fact that the people that I was around should have known that I was like, this isn't the reason. Like, I shouldn't be doing this. That alone was kind of something that was pretty telling. But yeah, so I could talk about it for days. It's a fascinating thing. Watching the meat factory of people who are studying absolutely nothing. I mean, even the classes, like I was like, dude, like I'm taking a marketing class, and okay, we do case studies. Like, bro, I could do that on my own. For
Bro, they're
one,
so useless. They're so useless. No, I could not. I can't even begin to describe how like useless the subject material was. But community is a very good point. Like people are, that's always where they go to, and that's fine if you're rich. But
Exactly.
if you're actually having to pay for this and get an ROI on this,
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. You just said you'd have to be super hyper intentional about that. That's what I would say for people who are just in it. Like you need to be super hyper intentional about connecting with your professors and people and taking advantage of all of the resources, the software, the rooms and the studios and all that stuff.
yeah, it was
Because
a weird dynamic. Like I even remember like living in the dorm. Did you live in the dorms in your
freshman year, yeah.
Yeah, I did too. And I lived in one of the biggest dorms in like all of Canada, and it was designed by this guy who designed prisons typically.
Oh,
And it was definitely apparent. Like if I were to show you my dorm room, it was crazy, man. And they also just had so many like bullshit rules too. Like they're almost their own little like mini nation states to these schools, man. They just make up shit. Like when you're on their campus, they just make up their own rules.
yeah, man.
Like the parking bullshit where like there's a thing because it's not connected to the government. If until you pay the parking ticket, like they don't know it's your car. So I just didn't pay my parking tickets
Nice.
because they can't know it's my car
Right.
until you pay it. And then now every subsequent one, they know it's your car because you paid it.
Right. Interesting.
And
Yeah,
then also like I put a hole in my wall in my dorm room, and we happened to get holy crap, man. Sorry, you go.
super excited to hear about you putting a hole in your wall. I'm trying to remember how I did get messed up. Like I had a point where I racked up so many parking tickets and they were like, you cannot enroll until
Yes,
you pay your
that's what they
tickets.
do. Yeah, so eventually, like if you don't pay them and they do know it's you, then that's what they'll do. So you can't get your grades until
Yeah,
that or enroll.
yeah.
But also, if you do what I did too many times, they'll put a boot on your car.
Oh,
I
snap.
think it was 3 or 5 you could get before they did that.
Dude, I was so bad, bro. Cause like the first couple of times, because dude, the thing is like you pay for a parking pass, but your parking pass was in a assigned place. So you have to park somewhere that's way irrelevant to where
Wow,
you need to be anyway. So I'm
that's
like,
so annoying.
bro, like I'm not doing that. I'm just gonna park over here. I'm not gonna pay for a parking pass. The first ticket was like 50, the second one's like 75, the next ones are like 100 a pop. And I'm like, Jesus, dude.
For how long?
What do you mean?
Like how long was the parking pass for? A semester?
It's probably for a year at a time. I don't know. I don't know actually.
Yeah.
It was
Our-
definitely worth it. I didn't, I was
Totally
like, I'm
get
just
it.
gonna risk it for the biscuit.
Oh man, we were also so poor back then. Like in
Yeah,
school, I had like $0 and 0 cents, man. So anything I could do. But so I put a hole in the wall for my dorm room because there was a very small open way, and I was trying to like Spider-Man up the wall, but it was very thin drywall. That was all the wall was. So my foot went like right through it into my closet. And so we put like a poster over it because I did it like the first month or like pretty early on. And so we had this hole, but whenever the RAs would come around, we had like a poster there. Like, oh, we're really into this, whatever, right? And then luckily enough, we got in trouble where I had to speak to like the head RA. And somehow he brought up, he's like, yeah, well, we stopped these things because like things can get out of control. And then if you like do something like put a hole in your wall, I'm like, this guy knows what the hell. and I was like, hypothetically, like, what would happen? And they're like, oh, it's a $600 fine. I was like, what? I went the next day to Home Depot, bought a little patch kit, got like the color match for the paint.
Yeah.
And I fixed that thing.
Word. Yeah, because 600 is pretty
600 is crazy for a hole in the wall of drywall. That's extortion, bro. That's how they operate.
Dang, bro. That's awesome. That man put a poster over it.
There was a Pokemon poster too. It's hilarious.
That's dope. So yeah. Keep going about that for days. Was that a single dorm? Like, how are you able to Spider-Man up like wall to wall in your dorm?
Bro. So I roomed with producer Kurt, right?
Okay.
Bro, I shit you not. Like maybe a little bit bigger than my office here. My office is pretty small. It was like our entire dorm room. The entire dorm room was like bed. That was the entire like width of the room. 2 desks in the middle. That was like between the bed, desk, bed was like the entire length. So when you'd walk in, there was like this little box, but to get into the room, we had to walk through like a slight little walkway that was I don't know, like 4 feet wide, maybe. And then it would open up to our tiny room.
Wow.
Dude, it was such a shit show. And the fact that, because you pay, like, it's also a big thing, at least at my school, because there was crazy variability of the quality of the different dorm rooms. It's probably the case everywhere. So we were paying the same price as people who had like these bougie rooms.
Interesting.
I'm like, this is bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, man. The U, man. At the U.
Y'all probably had nice dorms.
Well, right after I left, they built this thing called Lakeside. And it's like this like beautiful building that oversees the lake on campus.
That's awesome.
It's like, dang, that's pretty dang cool. But no,
Was it hard to get in there?
Was down. Yeah, definitely.
How did your system work for trying to get in there?
I really don't know that much. I only did it freshman year, and I wasn't a part of the process.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it was definitely always a thing though, like trying to find space and availability.
Yeah, for us it was like a lottery system. You had to say your first, second, and third choices.
Mm.
And then they'd put you in wherever they put you. And I'm confident we got the smallest room in the entire school, or like the smallest style. Like there were a lot of people who had the same room as us. But
yeah, what was that? FSU. Oh, I'm so sorry that's where your daughter goes.
Boom.
I'm really sorry to hear that.
That's tough.
But yeah, man.
Good stuff.
So many stories, you know.
Totally.
We had a couple things. CZ was on the PBE podcast,
David, yeah.
and he was talking about some of his adventures in the world of Bitcoin. Let's hear what he said.
So I sold my house, sold my apartment, and bought Bitcoin. So that was like pretty clear to me. That was a very long-term conviction.
What did you? Is this a $900,000 apartment?
Yes, this is a $900,000 apartment.
And when you bought it at the time, what was the average price of Bitcoin?
Average price I got in was about 600. I bought it. I got payments in installments, right? So I bought it at 800, 600, 400. So average 12.
So if we do 900,000 divided by 600 times 81,000, you're looking at $121 million, give or take.
Something, yeah, just about 100 million.
Selling a $900,000 apartment turned into $121 million.
Yeah.
The average person listening to this thinks that's crazy.
So I sold my house.
Sold his house.
That's some great marketing for crypto.
Oh yeah, man. I also get so jealous of people, man, that we're all like, you had a $900,000 house when Bitcoin was $600. Just that alone, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to make that decision, you know. Obviously, you had to be there, you had to be smart.
But
that's awesome.
Yeah, I think there's always the same levels of opportunities that just manifest themselves in very different ways. Right? Like, sure, we could have been that early, but would we be doing this show?
Certainly not.
Right?
I'd be done, bro. I'd be checked out. Gee.
That's what I mean. So maybe it's actually a blessing.
100%, man. 100%. But yeah, Sarah was just you know, I'm a Kane over here, you know. So
Brand is selling his house.
Go for it, man. I was talking to somebody last year who was talking about selling their house. I'm like, brother, we're at the very top of the market, dude. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like,
all my buddies, because like I got a lot of buddies, especially in the States, that are like classic, like I'd say like the market level investor, right? So like they love real estate. And I'm like, boys. I was like, there's other stuff out there. I don't think, but it's just why it's been such an effective psyop is because you need a house.
Yeah.
So it's something that everybody's a part of.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I was just talking last night about, like, someone was asking me about if the tokenization of securities is going to give people more or less control over their assets. And I was just like, you don't have any control over your stocks and your bonds. Like, that stuff's all held by these registries and depositories for one. And when you really think about like having control over your money, the only real thing that you have really, truly that you own, gold, silver, or metals, right? And technically you could say Bitcoin, crypto kind of thing. But I wouldn't even say that because it wasn't the point. The point was like, I should have talked about it because it's like you own it, you know, physically to some degree, obviously in a digital way. But I was literally having that exact conversation about like, you buy real estate, you don't know.
Yeah,
You're no on.
property taxes is crazy too.
It's crazy. They can take your house, bro.
And they just pick, like, basically it's what the value of the house is, right? And that's what they base it on. But these values are freaking fake too.
Yeah, man. So craziness. But it's like, yeah, because what's the alternative? And
Totally.
and when rental prices are also crazy, what are you gonna do? But yeah, that was but Jeff really well illustrated that concept, because I didn't really think about it like that. The value of the house is literally just inflation. The price, excuse me, of the house is inflation purely. It's not that, oh, property's going up. It's like, this is a function of the debt that you have on that house.
$9,000 for property tax? That sounds like a lot. I've never owned a home, so I don't know.
Yeah, you living nice, Sarah. Heard.
That's fantastic.
That's awesome. But yeah, so my man CZ selling that joint for $900K. Now, Cointelegraph posted this video of Reflex Robotics unveiling a home robot that can help with cooking, chores, and other daily household tasks.
Robot designed for bachelors, built by the New York-based company Reflex Robotics. This machine can handle your daily routine at home. It wakes you up on time and gets your day started. While you get ready for work, it can prepare your breakfast. It also takes care of household chores with ease. In the evening, it can make dinner and help you relax. The robot moves on a 4-wheel base, making it stable and easy to move around. Its upper body is humanoid, with a head and arms to perform different tasks. It is mounted on a vertical mast that can move up and down, so it can adjust its height based on the work. Meet.
What do you think of that, Ben?
I'd buy one.
There we go. There we go.
I hate cleaning so much, man.
Why do you hate cleaning so much?
It's just like a waste of time.
Wow.
So if I could have them, I do it because I have to, right? Because, like,
chat, flame them up.
I don't know. Like, yeah, I'd be down for that. And I also hate making food.
Yeah. No, I hear that. I mean, those are things too that's just like, does it need you for it to be done? Kind of thing.
Totally. That's what I would like to find out. I would definitely try it, but they're probably crap right now, so I'll give it a few versions. That way it can fully kill me in my sleep,
Wait for the 3.0. Cool. So boomers, we're into the memes now.
The Cross Central said that video's AI. Is that true?
Maybe.
Could be.
Maybe, dude.
Sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
No, yeah. Into the memes for the day. We got some memes, some jokes, pure jokes for the folks. Dang it. I did see that one too, actually. This guy said, boomers sending DMs to AI generated women on Instagram.
That's great.
There's this one guy that I see that literally posts, like, he comments. This is like a real person, and he's like got some internet like clout to some degree, and he comments on like these, I guess they're not AI, but they're clearly like, like OnlyFans models, and he's like commenting on all of their posts, like, good morning, beautiful, and like all this crazy stuff. And I'm like, dude, like, you're supposed to be like a public figure for one. And secondly, like, your responses are public, my guy. Like, what are you doing? But definitely boomer type of activity. Like, because like, why are you doing that? You know what I'm saying? Like, what
totally.
are you getting from that?
Have you seen the ones that are like targeted at Trump supporters and stuff? So it's like, those ones are hilarious, man.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen it, but that's pretty darn funny, man.
They're so good. They'll be like doing the classic stuff, you know what I mean? And being like, oh, and then the comments like, I wish more girls were like this. It's like, well, this one isn't even, because it's not real.
Dang. This one right here says trading strategy.
It's pretty.
This is real trading. solid. And then one throwback to the situation with Trump going to China. If you're wondering why the U.S. trip to China is so important, here you go.
That's a what? That's a what of money.
Yep. You got this circular economy going on, money going in and out of the same company. Somebody's going to have to...
Propping up the entire economy.
Yeah, step in and actually keep it going, I guess. This guy said something that I thought was really interesting. I was like, this is wild. This is actually spot on.
It is so funny to me that LinkedIn uses the same strategy as middle school girls to try and get you to engage on their platform. When you were in middle school, I remember like girls used to come up to you and be like, I know who has a crush on you. And you'd be like, yeah, who? And they'd be like, we're not telling. And 20 years later, here I am getting an email from LinkedIn being like, your profile's been viewed by a hiring manager. And then you click into it and it's like, we're not telling you who though.
Super true.
Pretty wild, man. Like I wonder if that was what was whoever designed, that part of LinkedIn, like was that where their head went?
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's
Some
spot on.
variation. Yeah. And then yeah, it's crazy with especially with LinkedIn dating, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, Sharp brought it up immediately. So where are the LinkedIn DMs?
I gotta see those.
We'll work on that. Don't worry. This next one, economy so messed up, scammers went from you won the lottery to remote job opening, earning $18 an hour.
That's fascinating. That's so funny. We're a lot of big tech companies are actually coming to Toronto to open offices here because it's like cheaper. Because our currency is worth a lot less, right? And also with how many people we let in from like an immigration perspective, like they brought down the whole labor market here because they were just willing to work for less. So then just like the whole thing got deflated by that. So it's I get why they're coming here. It's probably like comparable talent, same time zone, and cheaper.
Right. Yeah. Interesting, man. Very interesting. Yeah, it's funny that Jeff from Canada to US.
That's not shocking. That's the same thesis that I had.
Yeah. I'm like, all right, guys. I mean, if you say so.
If you grew up here, I think you'd understand.
Yeah.
And it's not saying that I don't love Canada. I love Canada in very many ways, but I think how it was built makes it uniquely positioned for this to go poorly here. Especially with the social things that have happened, where like you guys are divided, but at the end of the day, most of you are still Americans mentally. That's not even a concept here. Being a Canadian, granted, like how could it be? We're a pretty young nation, relatively speaking, and it's like we're very divided, and I don't see that getting better.
I feel like, yeah, what is the Canadian identity,
It was never really a thing. We kind of latched onto the whole, like, we're nice, but that's bullshit. We were polite. I don't think Canadians are nice anymore. They're very, and even the politeness is pretty well gone, man. We are Canadian. But Canada's got some of the most awesome stuff in the world. Like if you just come, like you won't experience it that much, Keith, when you come here because you'll be in a city. But
yeah,
if you go out to the nature, like we're pretty blessed and spoiled in many ways. Like out west as well, within Alberta.
How far do you have to go to get to that stuff from Toronto?
Cottage country in Ontario is still beautiful. So hour and a half outside of Toronto.
Where do you guys have like trains that take you to that kind of stuff? No,
just cars.
Interesting.
People go in the highway, and it's also like basically every wealthy person in Ontario has a cottage. So and like it's the most prestigious to get one in Muskoka because it's the closest to Toronto, basically.
Okay.
So that's where like all of the most obnoxious cottages you can imagine in the world are in Muskoka. It's very much a status symbol. In addition to the fact that it's genuinely nice up there, it's also like a massive status symbol, which is why I'm sure a lot of people go there. Is because not just do you have a cottage in Muskoka.
Right. And I figured it'd be like, yeah, like on a lake or something super cool. So
There's a bunch of lakes there, and it is beautiful. But like some of the most famous people in the world have cottages there too.
dude, Canada's massive, bro.
Canada is absurdly large, but it's also quite deceiving because almost like 80% of the population lives within an hour of the U.S. border. Double check
so wild.
Double check
Yeah.
that number. But most of the places that you're looking at, like, no one lives there.
Right. Which sounds kind of beautiful to a degree, man.
Yeah. It depends on what you're looking for. If you want some space, you can definitely find it.
I guess the only thing is though is it's cold.
Oh, dude.
Like the whole thing would have to be cold.
It's still cold right now, man.
Snap.
Bro, I'm walking around like morning walks, and I'm just like punching the air. I'm like, what? This is bullshit. Like, warm up, bro. It's almost June.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Yeah, that's the only drawback to that Canada thing, dude.
It's not the only one, I promise you. But Canada, yeah, it's the cold does suck. But one thing that's great that comes with that is that we do truly get to experience 4 seasons. Right?
Fair.
Like all my buddies in Florida, they know like sweat your balls off hot or like kind of hot. It's like, you know what I mean? Whereas we have all the 4 seasons. It's very beautiful here, and the people are still great for the most part. Which is that like our economy is like everywhere else. We're not immune to it, right?
Mm-hmm. Super fair. Very excited to see it. Jank Thornton over here posted this one. This guy's been going crazy for some reason.
That meme's everywhere.
It's everywhere right now.
What's it actually from?
I have no idea. Because
I know the premise. Like I know it's like someone calling the shots behind the scenes, like puppet master.
Yeah. So that's the vibes. That's the context. And then this one says, tell him to enter the password he knows is correct. Inform him it is incorrect. Invite him to reset it. Watch as he enters the password he believed it was all along when he resets it. And then tell him he can't use it because that's his current password.
That's a rage loop right there. If we get decentralized identity correct and it's not dystopian, there'd be a lot of utility.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Man, the amount of passwords that I have like written down and stuff is crazy. And I write them out by hand to try to like be more safe and stuff. And I have like hundreds, bro.
Wow.
Well, because like every time that I make a new entity for like a business or whatever, I make
10.
Yeah, right? Like with YouTube, Instagram, a Gmail account. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the Truman Show. Okay, that makes so much sense.
Oh, okay. Word. Yeah, I didn't know that.
I've never actually seen that movie. Have you?
I did. I was forced to watch it in high school.
Forced to? In what class?
I think it was like philosophy, which is pretty sick, honestly.
That's actually kind of dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a very good point. Best times to be in Canada are between May and October. Nailed it. Yeah.
Word.
It's like when you come down here, you'll be primo positioned for like, and everyone's nice for a little bit too. We lost you again.
What?
I've never seen it twice in one episode before.
I literally have it plugged in, so that's problematic.
Okay, well if we got to wrap up, I can try to show the community piece and stuff.
I think it's just a matter of the heat.
Excuse me. It's back.
I can't believe they just did me like that.
I can't believe it either, dude.
I paid money for that thing.
We got to get you a ghost battery, man. It's all good. You switched over. It's all good. What else do we got? We got
one more meme.
Community.
And then
cool.
Community. Final meme. Sorry, but you can't chat about things like digital ID while dressed as if you're living in the 16th century. Here's King Charles.
Our ministers will also proceed with the introduction of digital ID that will modernize how citizens interact with public services.
Yep.
I have to agree with that.
Yeah. Pretty fascinating in general that this is I don't know. I'm just always fascinated by the monarchy. Such a weird
It's so
thing.
crazy. that guy that I talked about a super long time ago, Swilliamism or whatever. I learned a lot from his videos about how that's all structured. And like how like the city of London, I think it was, is like has very unique laws and its origin stories are very, very unique.
Bro, I didn't know anything about that until some dude called me randomly like a couple months ago. And he was talking about the city of London and how it's like its own jurisdiction, kind of like a DC kind of thing, but not. It's like more intense than that, I think.
Yeah, and there's a lot of like underground tunnels and stuff there too.
Word.
Yeah.
And there was something about like how like sovereign like leaders can't like enter it or something, and like I don't know, something.
One big show.
Yeah. But yeah, now it's time for some community. We kind of had a nice amount over the past 48 hours. So Tuesday we had an episode where we talked a little bit about the tokenization of everything. And we had some comments from the folks. I think one of the things, so McCrazy 9648, Keith does everything he possibly can to not discuss Ethereum. New Vids was like, really? How so? And then McCrazy said, literally gets asked on Q&A about his thoughts on ETH, ignores it, and proceeds to shill XRP.
This is a lot like what I was talking about with Jeff, right? How people come to it looking for something.
Yeah.
So it's one, I really don't think Keith does that, because even in our private discussions, from the very beginning, we've been like, okay, like we hold bags in certain things, but like, let's talk about everything, because it'd be dumb to talk about only the thing that loses. Or if that's even a possible reality. You get what I'm saying? So we've deliberately tried to talk about pretty well everything. And even when I sent a screenshot of that to Keith, I was like, we should get on some ETH bulls. And he's like, yeah, let's do it. Like, I think people are cherry picking there.
And I do get it, because like I think what happened was he specifically asked me on one of my live streams what my thoughts were on ETH, but it was a price question.
That's almost everyone. That's all they're asking.
And I was like, bro, I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? So, but in general, I talked about ETH even when that question was asked. So if he asked, then if that was you, bro, listen, I responded to you. I was like, ETH's got some things that they got to figure out.
Dude, you know what's funny is that they're literally just asking to hear the price they have in their head. It's so stupid. It's like, why are you even coming here to do that? Do you know? I'm not saying he's stupid, but I'm saying like subconsciously, like not many people audit why they're doing what they're doing. Right? Sure. I was telling, like, as I'm teaching a SEPA, like how the psychology of behavior on these social media platforms, and I'm like, buddy, if you understand what why people are doing what they're doing on the platform, gaining attraction becomes really, really easy. Like, let's say the example of crypto Twitter. Everyone is using Twitter to feel smart about what they already believe, right? 100%. So if you give people the opportunity to feel smart, then they'll amplify your message. So like, you also gotta be careful. Like, don't just bullshit and say things you don't believe. But if you do genuinely believe in what they believe in, then they're gonna amplify your message for you. And it goes the other way too. If you know what pisses them off, just talking about that means they're gonna do the same thing. Of course, it'll come with some hate, but like they're on Twitter, especially, people are very fair weather. Like, they love you when you're saying exactly what they believe.
Yes.
And you're the biggest idiot the second you say anything to the contrary.
Yo, Twitter's crazy, man.
Twitter's fucked.
We will we've got some Twitter stuff that we've gotten over the past 24 hours as well that we want to share. But on the ETH thing, look, dude, ETH has also made itself not super relevant right now. Like ETH has NFTs and it will always have NFTs. But I think beyond that, like, what is there to talk about? You know what I mean? Like, there's just not that much to talk about.
Well, if you ask Tom Lee, the future of finance is being built on it.
And I would say to Tom Lee, like, really?
I want to have Tom on.
And like, which version of Ethereum are we talking about here? Because that's the real question.
I really want to have him on.
Because if we're talking about public Ethereum, like, brother, where they at? You know what I mean? Because we'd be able to see it. But yeah, no, for sure. Would love to hear how people reconcile all of that, because we've constantly seen the institutions say that they're using Ethereum. You know what I mean? Constantly.
Yes.
So it's just a matter of like, what does that actually look like in its implementation? Especially when, for instance, we're seeing now like things like the Canton network, which kind of like replace all of that, and they've been working on that in conjunction with one another to have a place to have an Ethereum basically that's not a public permissionless chain, which was always the problem. All of the Ethereum development that happened on private blockchain, like the entire Hyperledger ecosystem. So yeah, I don't know, man. Stuff's kind of confusing to me.
We are at such an exciting point in human history to be alive when this stuff is being decided.
True.
It's also what I always find really funny about crypto people that are in like one cult. It's like, okay, you guys kind of all realize that this is an inevitable reality. Like, so it's probably going to happen. Why would you be so committed that it can only work out for you personally if it goes this one way?
100%.
Like, I think that's so silly. Like, I would be, which is what I did. I'm like, I went to every cult and I was like, who are the leaders in this space? Like, who's talking about this shit? Who do they hate? Right. And then tried to get as much information as I possibly could to think about, okay, now I can run through mental models and being like, okay, domino effects. If this happens and this happens and this happens, like what are all the different outcomes? And then I've tried to position myself accordingly to win to some degree, and in regards to the scenario.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it's so funny. Like the tribalism is hilarious. It also makes sense probably because a lot of people are lacking community, and they've supplemented that with these. Right. So then like the cult like behavior becomes inevitable.
100%, man. So speaking directly to some of these things, we had the opportunity to get some love from the Link Marines.
What up, Link Marines?
Shout out to the Link Marines. We on Tuesday talked about Chainlink for 10-20 minutes, and we put out a clip of that on Twitter and got some clap back and some praise from the Chainlink community. This guy, Reek Cryptonomics or Riptonomics, said, good 10-minute explanation on the Oracle side of things, but as you mentioned briefly, they do a lot more. Even just CCIP is a behemoth in waiting. Connected to Unified Golden Record and ACE, tokenized stocks can move from chain to chain seamlessly and most importantly, legally.
Link Marines.
Yep.
They see, it's so funny, man. And then we even got like a backhanded compliment on a few of them too.
Yes, yeah, I'll definitely pull that one up. This guy, King Bertrand, MoneyLink, this is a perfect example of some stuff that we got to talk about here. So this he says, guy has no clue what he's talking about. Just an Oracle, proof of stake. Who gives these people platforms? Brother, I didn't say it was just an Oracle. I literally mentioned, as this guy said, CCIP as well, and the Chainlink runtime environment in that video. So I don't know why you went there. And then this proof of stake thing, brother, they have a staking mechanism. I don't know what else you want me to say. I said it functions a lot like proof of stake, and brother, I'm on your side. I'm on your team.
I know. I'll never understand that. Like,
I don't understand.
You want a message to spread, and then you shit on the people spreading it for you.
Like, I'm trying to make this relatable to people by saying like proof of stake, and so that they can get it and maybe it connects somewhere, but whatever. This guy, Rick, said, everything stated in this video is known for people who paid attention. Yes, the price of Link is still very low. Something else is missing in your explanation. And I was like, what's going on? And he was like, yeah, I guess he was asking me basically to elaborate on why I was saying there's something about the token, the supply side of the token. Crypto Panda, shout out. He said, yeah, you're not totally off, but you're still off by a margin. To completely understand the value mechanism, this should help. Puts a bunch of graphics up.
Cool.
There was some other stuff. Yeah, so super funny stuff here. Let me just find the other one real quick. We put out one about Sergey overnight. Sergey Nazarov is a beast. We got the Chainlink community. Chainlink themselves said, what's up? Let's go.
No follow, though? That's crazy.
Yeah, no follow. Hey, that's, I guess, how it goes. In this game, they only follow 25 people.
That's fair.
Yeah.
You got to earn that.
Yeah.
We'll follow you back, Chainlink, when you follow us.
And this guy, this was funny. Switch said, "Is there a strong Chainlink community?"
I love that.
Laughs
My
at
favorite shows.
Chainlink. What I didn't know, Ben, is he's Edward Bernays, right? No, he's
like
Don Draper.
Don Draper, yeah. But that's this, like, he's in the whole Mad Men, which is like marketing / advertising. He's awesome. Like the show is awesome. Sorry, Mad Men's great. Have you seen it, Keith?
I used to watch I watched the very beginning of it when it first came out.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. I didn't actually watch it.
It's one of my favorite shows of all time because they also make a lot of references to actual ad campaigns and like the psychology that made it effective or not. And they also run through some of the thinking models that like make advertising work or not.
Right. So the reason I said that Edward Bernays thing is because like I think there was a cigarette example in there, for instance.
It's toasted.
That was a lot like what Edward Bernays did or whatever. But anyways, Link Marines are everything. Nice to see you guys have done some research. Well, thanks, brother. Thanks to Klaus Schwaypu. See, like, and this is what I'm saying by, all right, so like, people got peed off because I was like, XRP and Chainlink communities are so similar. And I'm like, bro, like, you guys study and pay attention to and watch very similar things. Okay. Klaus Schwab, like World Economic Forum, all that kind of stuff. Like, it's like there's kind of like a lot of overlap in sort of the worldview. It's just a matter of like which project you believe will participate in that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's kind of what I was trying to say. And then it's interesting too. A lot of the Chainlink haters are like, "Dude, the token's $9. Like, shut up!" Like, Goose, holy ish, these dudes are dumb. Hard to listen to them as they LARP if they understand Chainlink and its importance. We'd love to have Chainlink God on. People kept mentioning that. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. There was some other stuff that was like pretty good. Okay, yeah. So we got the fishy catfish to respond. So that was awesome. So this is when I was saying their communities are pretty much alike. This guy kind of does exactly what I said he does, which he spends his entire day talking about why XRP is stupid and why Link is actually the thing, which is awesome. Like, I love it, bro. And then this guy was like, "See, you're fishy. Why doesn't the token go up?" Anyways. These two have a combined 12 brain cells. And this was pretty much like a language problem because in the video I said these two things are the same, but I was talking about the communities. And
how ironic that he called you dumb.
Yeah, I feel like he might not have been able to discern that, and that's fine, you know. I feel like, oh, the one where the guys said our podcast is waking up, that was pretty good, and it's worthy for everybody here because it's a moment. Where would I find that, Ben?
I think I sent it to you on Twitter, maybe.
It's definitely in Slack somewhere.
Or did I? Yeah, it might be in a thread that within content planning, I think.
Mm-hmm. I think it was a quote tweet. Yes. Okay. So since it was a quote tweet, this guy, Full-Time Linky, what up, dude? He said, even the market laggard meme shows are starting to wake up. Getting left behind on Link is going to feel worse than anything since Bitcoin. So one thing I will say, Full-Time Linky, we are not a meme show. Okay. That's the thing that I'm worried about.
I think anybody with a brain will like come and realize that.
Well, it's just the context, you know. It's just
I know. I'm saying crypto people are way too like in there to think more holistically.
Yeah, and, you know, it's crypto, so it's like, what are you supposed to? You're gonna associate memes with meme coins, but
yes,
we're not talking about that necessarily, Full-Time Link. But we appreciate your words. And let's see here. And also, we're not laggard. Okay. All right. Not laggard around here. We've been talking about Link for a minute, and not even just that. But we've been in the game. We're on your side, right, guys? Like, why you always talking smack?
They're so angry. I just want to like they all need a hug, man.
Oh snap! I didn't even see this one. White guy wearing a hat that says "creative" and a black guy sitting in front of a Van Gogh print. My trusted crypto advisor is telling me things every biz DJ knew 10 years ago. Is there a Chainlink community? Who are these clowns?
Why are they all so angry? Like, I honestly wonder that.
I mean, the token price is $9. You know,
yeah, so go cry about it somewhere else. Like, go be productive instead of shitting on people that are trying to amplify your message. Like, it's just so dumb.
Oh man, but that's Twitter for you. That's wild,
dude. A call-in show would be amazing.
Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah, especially, dude. Yeah, some of those people, because Chainlink people are smart, but clearly they're also kind of a-holes, and so there's just gonna be an awesome opportunity for them to realize that. So yeah, that's all I could really say about that. I guess.
Like, think about people getting attached to that. Like, if you put a high barrier to entry, where like if you say anything wrong and you get like shit on, then like why would I take that risk?
100%.
For people who care about that stuff more.
Yeah. The final thing that I thought was super cool, honestly, I'm not gonna lie. There was a Twitter space that took place last night. That was a re-listen session of our Stephen Greenstreet interview on Memes and Markets.
Super cool.
So shout out to UFO Intros for listening to the podcast alongside of, I think it was 300 or so people that ended up tuning in at some point. Huge to see that.
Huge.
You know, these guys legit were just.
It takes a while to get into it. They don't start listening.
It didn't obviously look
the kids all together
Right.
about it, but anyway, just Chris.
Yeah, so they were going back and forth about it and listening to it. So really cool. Yep. Shout out to UFO Intros.
Yeah, and I'm still waiting to hear back from somebody that I want to have on, or two people that we've reached out to that are in the UFO community. We've not heard back, but we'll eventually have someone on who's more of a believer too.
Word. Yeah, I didn't think about the fact that there's a heavy UFO community on Twitter.
It's huge. And they're very passionate. More people that can tell us how we're dumb.
Yeah, man. Twitter is a wild thing, man. My goodness.
Well, it makes sense, right? If these people are spending that much time on these platforms and you're not aware that it's a cesspool, that's just normal behavior.
100%. 100%. And you know, it's whatever you got going on in your life, perfect opportunity to just
dump it on
lay it on somebody.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yeah, I think that's it for me on the community side.
Cool. Well, that's all from me. Highlights channel.
That's 100%. So as you should know, but if you don't know, you're about to. We just launched a highlights channel, and on the highlights channel, we are giving you the highlights from the conversations that we're having with our incredible guests. This helps to make it a lot easier for you to be able to, one, watch this in a bite-sized format, and two, to share it with someone who you think might find this information beneficial as well. So give us a subscribe. It's actually going to be one of the first links in the description of this video. We really need your help getting some subscribers on this. So if you're hearing this, I'm talking to you. Please, it means the world for you to hit that subscribe button, and it don't cost you nothing. It's free 99.
It's free to you, means the world to us, and I think you'll enjoy the content. And as we talked about before, highly shareable to your people and friends who aren't like deep in this stuff. It's a lot more approachable, which is why we did it. And then yeah, so definitely go subscribe. Links down below. Go show us some love. Helps us out a ton. And then Derek said, reach out to Leah Prime. I've never heard of
Leah Prime. Me neither.
Is that I'm seeing are they AI?
Oh. Allure Prime. I haven't been able to see Allure Prime upon search.
I'm not sure, but if they're a cool person and makes sense to talk to them, we would be more than happy to explore.
Totally. Yep. Other than that, we also are on Spotify and Apple Music. So give us
Apple Podcasts.
Apple Podcasts. Yeah, sorry, because not on Apple Music yet. I'll give you all that one when it drops. But we would really appreciate a review over there and a follow. You know, you also get treated audio over there. So if the audio is ever messing up, you can usually get that a lot better and clearer over there on Spotify.
Yes.
And or Apple Podcasts.
Cool, man.
Yep, that's it.
That's everything for me. On behalf of producer Asip in the background, we and all of us, we thank you for hanging out with us. We appreciate your time. And Sarah, thank you for subscribing to the Highlights channel. We appreciate that tremendously. We appreciate you tuning in. You always have great contributions. And again, we're sorry about your daughter at at FSU. But hey, you got other stuff going on, so that's good. But thank you guys so much. As always, it was a pleasure. And thank you for playing a role in facilitating the conversation with Jeff. I think that stuff's really, really important. And I don't think people realize how important that can be, right? Because the questions that you asked, I'm sure many people will have wanted to ask similar things, and now we actually got to, right? So that's very, very powerful because this lives on, right? Like this will be here for a long time, that people can look at it whenever they want. It can get shared. It can have a very big impact. So thank you for making that possible.
Totally. Yep. Huge thanks to you all. Shout out to Robbie. Shout out to Asipa Sharp in the background. We appreciate you.
Yeah, Robbie, thank you so much for all that you do. You're truly awesome, RD. We appreciate you tremendously. And we appreciate all of you for contributing. We will be back on Tuesday. I don't know do we have a guest scheduled right now?
I'm not sure.
But either way,
we do.
Go put that fire out. So Derek, apparently it wasn't a drill. So that's why I took my headphones out, because I was like, hold up. And then but it was a real pull of the fire alarm, but and they said don't move, don't use the elevators, but there's been no beeping since, so we're probably good.
Ben is dedicated, y'all.
I'm going down with the crew, man.
Snap.
All right. Well, thank y'all so much. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll see all of you on Tuesday. Be the light that you want to see. And we'll see all y'all then.
Make it the best day of your life, folks.
Peace, people. Have a good one.